Yo, what's good? It's me, a guy all the way from Best I Have, and this is the Art Block, a show, a podcast, a web series where we talk about art while making art. And today with me is none other than amazing co-host and three-peat. I think this is the
Yeah.
third time. Jasmine Woods is back with us once again, aka Feisty Girl Jazz on all socials. Jasmine, welcome back to the show. We got a lot to talk about today because there's been a slew of films and great black media that has been coming out, but also we want to know what's been going on with you and what you've been cooking creatively, things you've been planning, what's going on with your website, what's going on with your socials, because people want to know. People love you. They want to know. They want to see you in action.
I know. I've been, MIA, typical Aquarius fashion. Um, but yeah, no, I have been, the website is officially up. It exists now. Mostly it has like my portfolio of my costume work, but it also has like a gallery of like my wearable art. And so I kind of want to keep adding to that. I've got a few ideas that I've been working on and working through recently that involve uh, hats and that involve like bags, but I won't tell too much until it's done because I don't want to jinx it. And then,
Yeah, no, I get like that too. Like when people
yeah,
be asking me like, "What you got going on?" I'm like, "Stuff." Like I'm not going to tell you because as soon as I say something, then I'm not going to want to do it no more, or something stupid happens, and now it's like 6 months later, and I still ain't finished the thing.
it's too much pressure for me to actually finish it now. So I gotta leave it alone. But yeah, no, I do have some ideas that I've been working through. And then just to kind of like get back into the creative practice, I've started doing this thing. People on the internet call it like junk journaling. I've just been basically just printing off
White
pictures.
people come up with so many weird names for things.
I don't
Just to
know.
it just be like some regular ass shit and junk journaling. But what is
It's
junk
just like a
journaling?
journal. It's literally just like some people do whatever. I just called it my creative diary. It's like,
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
that's what that
so
was. Okay, yeah. When you came up here, okay.
so like it's a few different things. Like sometimes it's pictures of stuff like screenshots. I've been like putting screenshots together from stuff and like printing it out and then just trying to find like a through line. Like why did I put these together? Like what made it uh what in my brain kind of got them there. Sometimes I've created stories around like the different screenshots. Sometimes it's like a feeling.
So this is
And
like scrapbooking
kinda, yeah, it's
2.0.
scrapbooking, but creative
Because when I saw
scrapbooking.
you do it, I was like, "Oh, she's making a little scrapbook. That's cool." Not to say little scrapbook like it's nothing, but it was like, "Oh, that's cool." I haven't seen anybody like do that in a long time. I think the last time I've seen somebody scrapbook, I don't think I've ever seen anybody scrapbook ever. The only time I've seen it was on TV.
Yeah, like, I've only ever seen, like, white people talk about scrapbooks, and
Yeah,
I've always just assumed that it was, like, a way to, like, decorate, like, their photo albums or whatever. And, like, I've kind of have some of that too, but I also had, like, hair ideas. Like, I was working on, like, how to do my
that
hair.
looks like. Didn't you do that one at the bottom?
This one, yeah, I've done this
Yeah,
before, and, I mean, it's kind of
it's kind of
similar now.
similar. Yeah,
But it's funny because this is a result of me trying to like plan out what I was gonna do because I had this version and then I had this other like version
yeah,
where the hair kind of coils at the end, like it kind of like rolls into like a spiral.
yeah.
And
You better be careful because that girl gonna get you.
oh,
That homie from TikTok gonna get you. I don't know if they still
oh,
beefing, but that's still something I've never thought I'd ever see. It's like people arguing about hair, like hairstyles, and then having like a copyright on that. I feel like you
yeah.
shouldn't you shouldn't be doing that with hair. Like if it's like a character design, that's one thing, right? But like a hairstyle, like hair is hair.
And on top of that, it's like we're now we're policing black creativity when also most of these hairstyles are span generations.
Predate
So
any of this nonsense.
yeah, like y'all are in your 20s and these people have been doing these styles for like centuries. So it is weird to have this like legal battle over hair sculpting. And then I knew part of it had to do with like the product being made
It was the
as
Star
well.
Puff
Yeah, like those drawstring
hairpin or
ponytails.
something like that.
They're like these almost like drawstring ponytails, which also exist. But it's like they're stylized to look like Afro puffs, but they're also Afro puffs that look like like shapes.
Yeah.
So get I get there's like a patent on that as an invention
Which makes
or as
sense.
a product.
That I agree with.
I thought that the battle between the two creatives didn't make sense because like you don't have a patent on the thing that she's creating and somehow you want half of whatever like money she makes off
From
of
what
that.
I remember though, I think there was some documentation that she had as well. Like the other girl.
Yeah.
And because I was following it off and on for a little while, because I started to follow the younger one and her sister friend, whoever it is, on YouTube, and they would talk about it without like talking about it. They wouldn't use like names and stuff, but we knew.
Yeah.
And they were showing like how the other girl, I don't want to say their names, so I'm just saying the other sculptor. The other sculptor, she had filed for something, so there's actual legal documentation of her filing for a specific thing. I forgot what it was, and they have their own thing too. So it's like what came first, the chicken or the egg sort of vibe, and there's like this ongoing like back and forth between the two parties because of that. And I think it's just so silly because at the end of the day, the energy that's spent fighting each other could have been spent collaborating and actually uplifting one another. Not to sound like woo woo or nothing, but that could have been a great time to like market both the product and yourselves, and then you could have
Yeah.
made up a whole new product from that altogether.
Yeah. I mean, I liked both creators, and when I was on TikTok, I followed both of them because they both did different like versions of hair sculpting. And like on one end, the girl wasn't that doesn't have the sister, I can't remember her name, but the one that had been doing it, she had been doing it for a lot longer on TikTok, but it was mostly just her shaping like her afro, then making like props out of like her shed hair to go back in her afro, which was cool. But she never really talked about like products she was selling or anything like that that I saw. And it could have just been an algorithmic thing. I don't know. But then with the other girl, she would do hair sculpting. She talked about like the history of hair sculpting. She was talking about like she was pulling from just different research that she would do as well. And then like the product that she was, trying to sell came like way, way later. And so it was really interesting to see kind of like this fallout happen once one of them started selling a product. And I don't know, like I don't really know like where um what the timeline was exactly because
Yeah, I don't know either, because it felt
like
like it all happened at once. Because I used
yeah,
to see the young lady, the younger sculptor, all the time, and I thought she was the only one because she was probably the only person I saw on my timeline for the most part until the beef happened. And then when the beef happened, it felt like all of her videos and content were just about the beef. Like she wasn't
yeah,
making those videos you were talking about anymore, or she wasn't doing the sculpts anymore. It's just all been literally like, hey,
yeah,
this is happening, this sucks, and I can't do nothing, da 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 da. And it's like, damn, you know what I'm saying? Because essentially what the other sculptor is doing is kind of pigeonholing this girl, the younger one, into just making it all about the beef. Where
yeah,
if you go to the other sculptor's page, she's actually still making like videos
yeah,
about her own shit, the cosplay and all the other stuff she does, which I think is like very it's very fucked up. I think it was strategic. I think she did it
yeah.
on purpose. But I wanted to ask you, when you think of your hair, do you think of the clothes you're wearing or going to wear when you do it, or do you just kind of like say, this is going to go with whatever I make? regardless of how it looks. Because I feel like this feels like a all purpose sort of hairstyle almost, because it's like it's quirky, but it also feels high fashion, but it also feels casual at the same time. So what's your thought process when doing that or doing these sculpts?
That's actually really funny because I actually do kind of change my outfits up based off of, like, how like, what the vibe of the hair is. So, like, there are things that are, like, if I'm just wearing my general afro, I kinda, like, wear whatever. I don't really think about it. But, like, once I start doing different kind of more sculptural or, like, just more, um not yeah, avant-garde, different kind of hairstyles, I am immediately like, "Oh, this kind of turns me into, like, a different character of sorts." And so there's, like, a different vibe that connects to that. So, like, I've had the, like, multi-puff afros that kind of look like Bantu knots, but they're, like, more like Afro puffs, and then they're just kind of all over my head. But that looked to me more quirky. It didn't look more there was, like, certain things kind of look regal and sophisticated, but then some things look more, like, quirky and, like, artsy. And so I kind of like switch to different things based off of that, but it's not like I'm buying new clothes or anything like that. It's just like certain colors or certain textures kind of end up fitting the vibe. Or it's like, oh, I'll probably wear more prints with this because of the just the shape and like how it kind of brings your eye to here and then to here. Um and like I've thought about it like, oh, when I had that kind of like basket sort of hairstyle where the puffs were kind of like closer in, but they were like almost like in a basket. I was like, oh, I'm wearing like more. I noticed I was wearing like more floral things and like things that kind of worked, like created this like almost like a story or like a character, sort of like it's kind of like building an avatar. And so yeah, like this has been funny to try to, like, figure out because when I'm getting dressed, some things I'm like, "Oh, this looks my hair looks a little more formal than, like, what my outfit is." Like, I probably wouldn't wear just, like, a regular T-shirt and jeans with this type of hairstyle. I'd probably put a little more, effort into what I'm, like, wearing versus if I just had, like, I don't know, like, cornrows, like, straight backs or, like, mini twists or something. Like, it kinda, like, changes the vibes.
That's so interesting because now I'm wondering, like, when you gotta go for a milk run, quote unquote milk run, do you have to overcomplicatedly think? I just made that word up about your outfit, or do you just put a hat on and be like, "Fuck it, I'm not gonna try to, do nothing crazy right now."
Honestly, it's not even so the funny thing is, I even when I do my hair, there are, like, things that I'll do with the intention of like, "Oh, I feel like wearing hats this week." So I'll do something where my hair is closer down to my scalp versus like this, I can't wear a hat with this. I wouldn't even try. But then there's like other things where I'm like, uh I want to do my hair in this kind of way. That means I can't wear certain things, or that means I will probably wear different things now, as opposed to if I was just like rocking something that was a lot less sculptural or took a lot less planning. I think because my hair is part of like the art right now, because I'm not able to like wear like regular clothes because of my job. And so like most of the time I don't go nowhere but like work and then home. And then when I'm like out with my friends, it's like sparingly because I'm always at work. Um, but so now that I'm not like I have to wear a uniform, I kind of try to do a lot more of the creative expression with my hair. And so it kind of allows me to show off like this is what I do it outside of work. And um it just kind of adds sometimes it adds to what the uniform is, sometimes it's like its own separate thing you
Mhm.
know
I
and
feel
I
like it
feel like
entices more people to come touch you too. Like the fancier and more intricate it is, especially where you work at, I feel
yeah,
like there's gonna be a bunch of hi, like
what's so funny, like people will say that they want to touch it, but they won't actually touch my hair, but they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, your hair, it looks amazing." It's like they'll like do, like the inch closer, and then it's just like it's like when you go to a museum and you want to touch the art, but there's like people like the other day, wash your hands. Um,
We'll get into that. Yeah.
well, yeah, but like when we get in, like it's basically that, and people are just kind of like, "Oh, goodness." And it's funny because sometimes they touch like they really want to, but they don't like actually actively touch me. But you can always tell when they want to. Like there's been several times, like even outside of this job, like I would go and do work in like hair and makeup. And I'm like, you work in hair and makeup. Like, don't touch me. Like, it's weird. But yeah, like it really depends. It really depends on the person. So far, I haven't been assaulted at my job, which I
That's good.
appreciate.
That's good. When you do these sculpts, because you consider these sculpts, right?
Um,
Because I feel like
I
this is
guess
not just regularly doing your hair. Like if somebody say they doing their hair, it's usually like I'm putting in cornrows or protective style. You got a whole crown, and then you got these like magical like puffs surrounding you. So I feel like that's not a regular hairdo. That's like a sculpt.
I guess so. I never considered it to be a
You're
sculpt.
a sculptor. You're a sculpt in your hair sculpt influencer now, whatever they're called. So now you're part of the feud. You're in between little miss and the older one. Now you're like the triforce of hair sculptors. But I was going to ask you though, have you gotten to a place where like if you do something complicated like that, I don't know if you think that's complicated, but if you've done something that's a little bit more complex, do you find that you've gotten faster at doing this, or does it still take the same amount of time to put something like that together?
Um, Honestly, I think what takes the most amount of time for me is the planning part of it, because a lot of the time this ends up being a freestyle. Like I'm not going into it with like this is exactly how like
Do you
this
sketch it
is
out?
no. So
Okay.
not all the time. I do a lot of like reference photos, and then for this was like the crown was an accident. I just happened to like it. It was because originally it was all just gonna be this and just like braided down. This was gonna be more of like a high ponytail, so it would have been like these, but in like a ponytail fashion. And I had sketched it out because like I was like, maybe if I have a rough idea or like more of an exact idea, I can like execute it. And what usually happens with me is in any form of art that I do is like I will start with like a plan and then immediately veer left because like of a happy accident, like something will show up that wasn't there before, and I'm like, oh yeah, no, I kind of like that. Um, like there are just parts of even this style that weren't originally in the plan. Like my little tendrils weren't a part of the plan. My This crown wasn't a part of the plan. Originally all of this was going to just be up, and so it would have been more a lot higher, a lot taller. uh and I think that's like the beautiful part of creating, especially for me. Like it's hard for me to plan things out like strategically because things will always happen. Life always happens, change always happens. And so I kind of like embrace whatever the change is
Mm.
that's going on at that moment. And so you end up with something like this. Like, honestly, I've never seen anybody do this exact style before. I've seen people do
You
like
can
a
patent
pony.
it now. You can copyright it, put in a trademark office somewhere, something.
So I can sell it. I'm gonna sell.
Yeah.
I don't even.
You can make wig caps,
Yeah. Just
and all the
so
white people gonna be walking around with them.
the funny thing is, the more times I've seen like wig makers and like the hair shippers from like Indonesia Everything that gets sent to the beauty supply is always a direct result of like Black women on the internet documenting their like hair care and
Yeah,
changes. So like I definitely expect to see like a wig with this, like especially this. I expect to see a wig like this. Not
especially since you're going to become a big time fashion hair influencer. They going to be waiting. They going to be putting it in the AI and all of that. Bad son. I don't want to interrupt the video, but I need to let y'all know that this video and everything else I do is brought to you by patreon.com/habtunes. And I'm very grateful, very appreciative for my Patreon members. They're very creative. They're extremely intelligent, and I'm pretty sure they smell good. I think they do. But if you would like to be a part of the ship, part of the crew, and join the Hab-Goblin community and take it a step further, head over to patreon.com/habtunes and join for just $1 a month today. And higher tiers gives you access to some amazing benefits and rewards, and also access to our private Discord server. We have weekly, monthly, and just all around great events. So head on over today and join, and your name will also be recorded on BB's bulletin board. He keeps track of every person that joins Patreon and supports us financially. So that's another bonus. He'll be your best friend. Okay? So join today. Thank you. Let's get back to the video. And it's really fascinating to me because people love to copy and iterate. But what I love to see nowadays is how original ideas are becoming more apparent. And we see that in a lot of the films that are coming out recently.
yeah.
One film in particular that is probably one of my favorites of the year is God Is, which you know more about than me because originally it was a play. So you can just kind of like give us the backstory about what this is. And I'll also show the people that I sketched out some fan art and I finished it. So if you want to see the finished version, it'll be out. By the time this is out, you've probably already seen it because this is coming out on Wednesday, special Wednesday episode. But Is God Is started out as a play, and it was adapted by the same woman who did the play. So you tell me, I already know, but tell the audience like what you know about it pre-existing this film.
Okay, so yeah, I know a few things, right? I actually really love Alicia Harris's work. I've been able to I've been fortunate to be able to work on a play that she wrote. It wasn't As God Is, but man, um it's got that same like beat to it where it's just everything is happening all at the same time. There's poetry, there's movement, there's a lot of different um, topics at hand, but there's also still like one solid topic happening at the core of it. Alicia really knows how to bring your attention to one like through line with additional elements surrounding it. She understands comedy really well. I think she understands like just the inner spirit. Like there's something so like super Black about like her work that I really really love. Um and I wish I had been able to see like it as a play like when it first came out because I think it was like 2018 when she first
I thought you
did
saw
the
the play.
play. So what had happened was
I'm like that
I
lady, the old grandma.
no, I didn't see like the original with like the original cast and everything. What I did see was like clips from the show, like there were promotions. I was able to see that like on the internet, but I
Oh,
wish
you
I
was like one of them people that was trying to bootleg Hamilton when them kids
Oh
was listening
yes.
to the sound. Yo, when Hamilton came out, nobody could go see that shit. And what happened was all the like the poor kids, they would get the soundtrack and make little animated scenes to it, and it blew up from there. So you was like one
Yeah.
of them.
Well, kinda, sorta, yeah, but, like, it came after doing research on Alicia Harris because I had gotten to do this play called What to Send Up When It Goes Down, and that is
And what do you mean by you got to do the play? What did you do in this?
so different theaters I know this happens a lot with local theater. Different theaters are able to like get the rights to put on a production of an original work. And so this theater that I was working for in Fort Worth, Stage West Theater, they got the rights to do the show. They had invited a director to be a part of it, and the director had chosen me to do costume work for it. And so in that, um,
Is
you
something
know,
like that intimidating? Like, how did you feel?
it was like my first show back since the pandemic. So I was like, one, I was very excited to start doing any kind of theater work again. But it was kind of intimidating because the director is like a legend in Black theater and in Black theater in Texas. So that was like a whole thing. And then even the story behind that, it ended up we ended up switching directors because the original director couldn't go through with it for like personal reasons, and the director that it switched to ended up being somebody that I've grown up with like since childbirth. So she childbirth since I was a kid.
I was
She
like,
had been,
damn, y'all knew y'all shaking hands out the womb. Like, damn.
I mean, close. Like she went to my church. Her name is Vicky Washington. She is well known in many theatrical spaces, many Black theatrical spaces. Um, One of her kids is the director of what's it called? Random Acts of Flyness.
Wait a minute.
Terrence, yeah. So
Wait,
Terrence,
wait, 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 wait. Because you just said one of her kids, but y'all knew each other since y'all was kids. Since y'all was kids.
since
And you
I was
just
a
said her
child,
kid is also the director of Random Acts of Flyness. Now, that was a grown ass man. How old is this lady? Because I know how old you are. So now the math is not mathing.
I said I've known her since I was a kid. That's what I was.
Oh, okay. I
She
misheard you. She was already,
she
yeah.
she is an elder, but
Okay.
she's
Thank you.
also
Because I was like, wait a minute. You immortal?
basically, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's what the crown is for.
Mhm.
Yeah. But go ahead.
Um,
Sorry.
no, so all of that, I'm working with a heavy hitter from like I'll basically jump both feet in the water at the same time, and then I'm given this script, and everything about this script is so different structurally than what I'm used to. Like I'm used to like, oh, there's a beginning, middle, end. This is the story. I had just come from working in children's theater, so I'm like, yeah, we're doing Beauty and the Beast. We're doing Amelia Bedelia. Like Junie B. Jones. Like we're doing just like, you know, this is how we get kids in the theater through like stories we know. And then I'm hit with something that is like a mix of a pageant, a homegoing service, spoken word, a mix of a little bit of comedy, sketches in between. There's all of these things happening all at the same time, but it all culminates into this story about police brutality, about surviving blackness, surviving America, like just the stressors of being a black person from day to day, but also the joy and liberation that is connected to all of that. And like the whole experience was just very, very intense, but very like close. Like everybody felt like a cousin by the end of it. We were all really, really like close. And I say all of that to like say that even with the work that we did, that was like one intense version of Alicia Harris's work. This is more of this is a story that is very black at the center of it, but it wasn't like this is about black people. You know what I mean? Like you know how some works is like this is for blacks and this is the black people, blackity black black black.
Yeah.
Like this
This for
was
the
just
niggas.
yeah, this was just like everything about it is black, but that is not the character.
You're talking about
If
Is
that
God Is now.
Yes, Is God
Okay.
Is. I'm so sorry. Yeah. So like everything about Is God is a very black film. Everything about the movie has to do like it is just innate. It's not like how Blackish explains blackness. And it's not like how you
Chill. Yo,
know
Blackish be catching strays for no reason. Like Blackish is not even on TV no more, and people just be like, "Yeah, you remember that dumbass show?" They
and
had
I
to
mean
sing songs and explain in cartoons to white people what racism means every episode.
and I mean they did, but like I understand what Kenny Barris was doing. Like it served a purpose, you
Yeah.
know. And I'm not going to take that away from it. And it wasn't like the show wasn't funny. Like there were
No, I
like
enjoy Blackish. Yeah, for
I
sure.
enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, but I do also understand like how how it was structured. It kind of wasn't for me. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
It's
Like it
levels
wasn't.
to it. It's level to
Yeah.
is there's levels to black creativity. So you have shows that are black but are for white audiences. Then you have shows that are black but are for like a neutral people of
Mhm,
color audience. Then you got shows that are black that are for the niggas. You know what I'm
mhm.
saying? And I feel like what you were just saying, and I didn't think about this until you just said it. Is God is that category where it's like it's neutral, right? Like we relate to those things, but it's not so alienating that someone can't look at it and be like, "Wow, this is really great." Because
Yeah.
there are things like that, right? And there are things that um fall into that philosophy that I think we need and it's important, you know. But I also feel like, and this is a common complaint with a lot of black media, is that you know sometimes we do need something that can reach across the aisle just a little bit, not in a way where it's pandering like Blackish is, or where it's kind of like insulting your intelligence a little bit. Is like, because Blackish will be like, here's a little cartoon about why the Emancipation Proclamation is better, you know. It's like, okay, and then the Roots is fucking singing it and they playing songs. I was like, all right, cool, all right, yeah, cool. I thought Is God was phenomenal, is phenomenal, and like I said, one of my favorite films of the
Right.
year, right next to I Love Boosters. And it felt, because I know I saw like one little interview where Alicia Harris mentioned that she wanted to translate as much as the offbeat quirkiness from the play into the film, and it felt like that because it was kind of like, because I don't want to, I hate comparing sometimes, but I think for the sake of the reference so people can understand, it's like if Tarantino did a black film, but Tarantino was black and actually was like a decent human being and actually had like a cohesive, really good story that kind of resonated with people outside of just like blood, guts, and gore. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Because most of his films are just like spectacle. Like, oh my
Mhm.
God, look at Beatrix Keto just sliced that guy in half, or this guy just shot this other guy in the head because he thought he was his friend, and there goes the other guy, and then the white guy said nigger. You know,
Yeah.
that's Tarantino films, but this felt like raw grindhouse black
Yeah.
films, you know. And I love that Vivica Fox was in it too because she was also in Kill Bill, a Tarantino film, you know. And I didn't really know what to expect when I came into the theater because I didn't know nothing about it and there wasn't really a lot of information out about it. I thought it was like a supernatural thing because of the way the twins looked, because of the way Vivica Fox looked, because of the set dressing with her in the bed, and then like on the posters there's like flames and fire and the cars on fire. And I'm like, oh, this shit about to be like we going to hell or something. They about to go down the 9 circles, Dante's Inferno. It wasn't that, and that's fine. You know,
It could have been,
it could have been.
but
It
it
could
wasn't.
have been. Um, but how did you feel? How did you feel about um just the translation of, at least from the parts that you've seen of the play going into the film? Did it feel just as good or even better?
So, I did also get to read parts of the script at one point just because I like to get into stuff. And if I can find something and it's available, I'll I'll be nosy, you know? Um, and I really did love that it was almost like word for word, bar for bar
Mm,
in a lot of ways. because something that I have seen with a lot of theater to movie kind of transitions is that they're either adding more in certain aspects or taking away. And something I think a big part of why it was so almost like an exact replica was because of how much input Alicia had uh to this movie, because it's like she wrote the play, but she also got to direct the movie.
Mhm.
She also got to, be involved in like every aspect of it in a way that
Which
a
is
lot of
rare and amazing.
yeah, yeah, and I would love if more if more theater works were like that, because um, I think the last original play that became a movie that I can like remember is Dear Evan Hansen, but I did not go watch that because I wasn't really like a
That
fan
sounds
of.
familiar.
It's a musical, and it's a musical about a high schooler. Don't
I
it's
know exactly what you're talking about. And I
Yeah,
remember seeing the trailer for it, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
yeah.
Yeah,
Um, it's one of those where it's like it was an original work and then it got turned into a movie. Great, people really liked it. I didn't really care, but like this was one of those that we rarely get to see a lot of black theater as it is. Getting to see black theater turn into a movie, phenomenal. And then having it be almost exactly the same for the sake of the story, I will say is something that I
I'm gonna sound
appreciate.
pretentious for a second. This is not a
Oh,
movie. This is a film.
yes.
I'm John Travolta with the beret on and the glasses right now at Canes or Cannes. This is a film. This work of art transcended the Hollywood blockbuster genome that we've been used to for the last 10 years, right? Like this is something
Mhm.
that if it doesn't do exceptionally well in the box office, it will have a massive cult following and a very dedicated fan base, because it does something that is atypical from a lot of movies. It does a lot of things that are atypical from a narrative standpoint, and we're going to get into it because we need to talk about it. And if you haven't seen the film, you should probably skip the next couple of minutes because we're going to spoil stuff. We're going to talk about characters and all this stuff. But if you
Yeah.
have seen it, obviously just keep listening. There was excuse my French, a shit ton of symbolism throughout the film, self-referential, but also things that were extending outside of the film's world into our world, like just the base level plot of revenge and how dangerous that can be. But it also is like the plot of the film is these two girls were orphans.
Yeah.
They were orphaned, and now both their parents are on either side of the spectrum, right? You have this lady, this woman that was scorned by her husband, and then you have the evil, dad that committed harm against the entire family. It is very understandable. It is very understandable that Vivica A. Fox's character, the mother, would want revenge against the husband. What is not understandable is that at the same time, she abandoned them girls for about 20 some odd years. And then the first time she contacts them is so that they can go kill
Mhm.
their father. So it's like, to me, it's kind of like this sick, twisted version of motherhood, but also it's like, it's showing that like there are some families where parents are just thinking about themselves. They're not really thinking about their children. They're using their
Yeah.
children as tools. And both sides did that.
Yeah.
She did it in the beginning of the movie, but he did it kind of near the end. And this entire time, they're trying to like discover who they are between these two random individuals that they don't know.
Yeah.
And it's like, the crazy part is they're just like them,
Yeah.
you know, which I
In a
thought
lot
was
of ways.
insane.
And I mean, I think that was a reason why people were calling it, well, it had been described as like a Greek tragedy because like in like Greek mythology and stories, you
Look
often
how we
have
always go back to the white man.
look how
Look at
you
look at look
know
at that. You see, we did talking about a black. Go ahead, go ahead.
No, but I mean that just um that conflict that comes with, our protagonists are usually pulled from one side to the other, either by the gods or like through like other supernatural forces and like
And they
cause.
were. If you
Yeah,
think about it, the parents were godlike and supernatural because they revered them in two very different spectrums. Mom was
mhm,
viewed as the pure God. Dad was viewed as the devil, the evil
yeah,
force.
yeah. And even with like stories like that, the gods in Greek mythology weren't all benevolent either. Like they are flawed and insanely jealous and
Self-serving.
all the time. And so like you see that with how these two how the twins are basically thrust in the middle of two self-serving, individuals who created them, but also were committed, like the dad is committed on destroying anything that doesn't, uplift him. Meanwhile, the mom is like, just seeking the revenge that way she can have peace. Even though like, what could have been done between the events that happened and the point of when she actually contacts her daughters at the end, because it's not like she didn't recognize that not only was she harmed but her children were harmed. It's like she didn't even bring in any of her family. She didn't bring in people that
If there
loved
were
it,
family.
if there
Because we
was
also
family.
have to remember Sterling K. Brown's character is a narcissistic abuser. And typically
Yeah,
with those types of people, they isolate. So Vivica, and we saw that throughout the film, right?
yeah,
So Vivica A. Fox's character, who was at the lower rung of this totem pole of abuse, and I hate to say it like that, but like we don't know if she was able to contact family, if she was even near family. They might have been thousands of miles away. You know what I'm saying? And maybe at that point when she separated and tried to run away from him, she was so embarrassed that she probably didn't even want to talk to nobody. So there probably wasn't a lot of people around her that would have been able to help her without judgment.
yeah. I mean, she's consumed with rage all the way to the end of her life, and
Rightfully so. She was burned alive.
valid. The rage is necessary. It is understandable. But I do think that there are points that like you do see the lack of care, like the fact that Anaya's name isn't spelled right on the welcome board. The fact that even though she wrote for both Racine and Anaya, she didn't address Anaya at all in the letter. And, her excuse is that, oh, because she's going to be emotional about it. Like, okay, but like, even still, it would be nice to have that, just a piece of that because she's emotional. Give her something for her emotions to like lean on,
Give her a chance.
Yeah, give her that opportunity. And, um, it's evident that the care that she might have had at one point kind of left when they left, and it's I don't oh gosh, this movie's so good. Like there are just so many times where I was like watching both Racine and Anaya like kind of like reach for whatever love or attention um in different ways, and seeing the scene where Racine sits on the bed and um and her mom like caresses her face, and you see like this almost like she's in a rapture of sorts, like she's just so blissful at the fact that her mom would even touch her and that she's acknowledging her. And it's like, okay, Racine has like a lot of hurt and pain that is different from Anaya's hurt and pain. Like Anaya's hurt and pain comes from, the outward people being afraid of her, being like neglectful, calling her ugly. Racine's pain comes from
Being the
a lot of
protector.
yeah, being the protector, but being kind of being cursed with being the beautiful one, because it's like I'm I'm the one that's looked at every point in all of this, but I'm also like I have to be the strong one. I have to be the one to caretake, but I also don't get to really I don't get the privilege of being mad. Like I'm mad, but people don't never ask me why. Like this is the her going on the rampage that she goes on is almost like catharsis, because it's finally like, hey, you know what, I don't have anything left to lose. Like we lost our jobs, you know,
I don't even
my
know if it's. I wouldn't even call it catharsis because I feel like she's been like that her whole life. Because even when they're young and they're at school, the first scene we see of them as young girls is that she goes to beat the brakes off this little white boy that called her sister ugly with a bat.
yeah.
And I feel like she's just naturally violent because she's had to be,
Mhm.
because Anaya doesn't fight. Anaya is the more peaceful one. She's been the antithesis of what her entire family has been. She is she is the calmness and stillness that her family never had.
Mhm.
She's born in a way, she was birthed in a way where through this tragedy she's more aligned with trying to find alternative routes, because even in the beginning, while they were both kind of resistant to the idea of killing Sterling K. Brown's character, she really just didn't want to be bothered with it at all because she thought it was like fruitless. It didn't make any
Yeah.
sense. She was like, let's spend, it was more like, let's sit here and spend time with mama. Let's sit, let's like, just vibe, like just chill. And I feel
Yeah.
like Racine, because like she was the one that had to stand up all the time, and she's filled with all this like hurt, and the fact that they've been through foster home to foster home, no love, no care from a single adult, and she's had to be her own parent and a parent to her sister. I've seen this like literally in real life. There was, when I was teaching a few years ago, it was a fifth grade girl had the same type of attitude, and it was because
Mhm.
she was both the sister and the mom,
Yeah.
and I feel like that's something that I don't think you can get catharsis from that, and the reason why is because of the way things ended. There was no way she was going to find peace. She was the warrior. It's like in all those films where there's a big war, right? And you get together like the band of heroes. What happens to
Mhm.
those heroes when you win? You defeat the bad guy. They got nothing to do. They're restless because all they know is fighting. So the only way to like fix that or cure that is for them to die in battle. And that's where the catharsis comes from, really, in my opinion,
Mhm.
with Racine, even though it was more of a surprise than her actually
Yeah.
like, being willing to go down.
Yeah.
I think in that, in this weird way, there's like a sense of peace in that, because Racine was always going to drag her down, and we see that in the moment where they meet the other twins, right?
Yeah.
And we see this parallel between the two factions, right? We got the sisters and we got the brothers, and then when Anaya and little bro are speaking, you kind of see that like they are kind of like the Robin to their Batman. They're the Scooby to the, well, Scooby's the lead character technically, so they're the Shaggy to the Scooby. You know what I'm saying? And because of that, is what he said. It was like their inequities, or inequity, yeah, gives the the other twin, the permission to be who they are.
Yeah.
So if Anaya grows up and she stands up for herself, she gets confidence, which is what happens near the end of the movie. Racine doesn't exist anymore. She wouldn't be
Yeah.
able to do that, because even in that moment where she did stand up for herself and stop, what happened? They was about to fight.
Yeah. I think the reason I was calling it catharsis, because at the beginning of all of this, yes, Racine is violent, but there are still moments where she shows restraint um as a like at the request of her sister, right? Like there are so many moments, like even Anaya's like, you're not a killer. Like you don't kill people. You've never done that. And even though that's like that is the truth of the beginning, Racine's desire to kill her, her given that opportunity, I think was what I mean. Like she's finally kind of releasing all of the rage, all of the pent up anger, all of the things that even when she is allowed to be, more violent or be the warrior, be that bodyguard to Anaya, there are times where, with that, she still kind of pulls back. And this kind of it's like when you have like a rabid dog and they're just like they're on the edge of a leash and like they're still like fighting to chase. The minute you let that leash go, if they have the momentum, they're going to keep going. And I think that's what that like I feel like that was like Racine's journey, where it's like she was on the edge of the leash the entire time and she just needed anything to like say, "Hey, this is what we do now." And she's like, "Got it." Like that kind of felt like what like she just needed a reason to be more more violent than what she was, because it wasn't like she was killing everybody from the jump. Even like with Erica Alexander's character and with Ezekiel and with uh who's it? The lawyer. There are multiple times where, you know, yeah, she wanted to beat somebody's ass, but there were like it wasn't like she was like, I'm ready, like I'm gonna kill everybody. Like
But
there were times she
it's
thought
different
about
though
it, but
because with Erica Alexander, with the lawyer, with Ezekiel, Erica Alexander's son, these were harmless people. They did not commit any harm towards them, and they were more just trying to get information out of them. So
Mhm.
for me, if I'm Racine, there's no point in harming you. You already been hurt. You already fucked up. You have a whole church closet, a altar dedicated to a man that's never coming back. You got his deodorant and his socks in a cabinet. You got a whole church following him and following him. You know what I'm saying? The lawyer ain't got no tongue. He can't do nothing. He just got a fetish for getting beat up. That's already pathetic as enough as it is. The only reason why there was a destruction of the last home was because that was the last home, but also all three of the people committed harm, physical and verbal harm towards the girls at some way, shape, or form. Like the fact that Janelle Monáe spit in her face, that activated her. You know what I'm saying? She's not a rabid beast. She's just going to
No.
react to whatever is being come upon her. So if Erica Alexander spit in her face, I'm pretty sure something would have happened. The only reason why Ezekiel didn't die is because they were freaking out and they just trying to get away from him to figure out what to do because they were like disoriented. But once we get to Janelle Monáe and we get to the twins, that's when it's like we really about to go crazy because you just spit in my face, you call my mama her name, and you disrespecting me. Yeah, I'm gonna beat your ass. And then the brothers, they over sexualizing them, forcing them to, do all this stuff. Then you call my sister ugly. You know what I'm saying? And you being inappropriate with me, and you disrespecting me, and you touching me when I don't want to be touched. Yeah, I'm gonna react. And the fact that homie tried to kill Anaya, that's an immediate clapback. That's an immediate attack. So for me, when I look at Racine, I don't see her as someone that is like this. And I'm saying you're saying it, but I don't see her as this entity that's just gonna like start lashing out at whatever's near them. It's more of I'ma give you what you give back, and if you are a threat, if you are perceived as a threat, if you are perceived as a threat, then I'm going to destroy you. Because the initial plan set out by Vivica A. Fox was destroy everything. So there was
Yeah.
still some agency there. There still was thought there. She's not like bloodthirsty. There wasn't a bloodlust there. So by the time they get to the end, it's like they already been through a lot. They're tired and they just want to like just get to him and that's it.
Yeah.
And I also really enjoyed the parallels between the two in so many different ways, even down to the way they dressed, right? So like subtle things. And I noticed it when I was drawing them is that outside of the boxers, right? Racine's boxers were red, blood,
Hmm.
anger, violence. And then Anaya's were white, purity, a scene, like gentle, whatever, calm. But
Yeah.
even then, there's like the belt situation.
Yeah.
Racine's belt was a drawstring that she probably found and put together to make a fashion up a belt, where Anaya's was an actual real belt. And there's like that duality of the twins, where it's like one is just more like in your face, rah rah, and the other one is trying to be in a different place. It kind of reminds me of for those who watch Supernatural, kind of reminds me of Sam and Dean a little bit, because Dean was always about action. He was the rowdy one. He was ready to fight. He ready to shoot people. And Sam, he didn't want none of that life. He was forced
Right.
into that life. He wanted to go to college. And every time he tried to go to college, a demon would possess him or kill his girlfriend. And he got to come back and be like, Dean, they did something to my girl, And he's like, Sammy, So it's kind of that parallel of like, and what's
Yeah.
also interesting? They're both the same height. Like Racine and Dean are short, and then Anaya and Sam are like 6 feet tall. Well, she's not 6 feet tall, but she's taller than her. But
Yeah.
I just thought it was interesting that like down to just the way their clothes were, the type of jewelry they wore. Like
Yeah.
Anaya's necklace was a heart, and then Racine's was like, I don't know if it was a dagger, but it was something sharp and pointy.
Mhm. Yeah. I actually want to go back and watch it for the costume breakdown because I was like taking in way too much at the time
Yeah,
that I was like, I can't even look at the clothes right now. Like it was there were so many elements. But it's funny when we talked about the belt thing the other day, and I was like, something about that feels like there's a story there, not necessarily that. Like, in my brain, I feel like Racine gave Anaya that belt, you know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
Like, it was something where she's like, "Here." Like, it was maybe something that they shared, but, like, Racine was like, "You got it." 'Cause there's so many times where Racine is definitely like, I don't think she's like a monster. I think she loves her sister so much that there is, like, because of course the rage is justified, right? Like there's so many things that have happened to both of them um in the past, but it's always been about, I want to take care of my sister. I want to take care of this part of love that, that I can hold on to because she loves me, I love her, and we do everything together. We wake up together, we ice each other's wounds, like this has been 20 something years of us like united front. And so I think there are things that Racine did for Anaya that we don't see like in the story, like just leading up to that, even
Absolutely. I think
even
Racine would have gave Anaya her skin if she could have,
yeah,
like to for her face at least.
that would have been an interesting movie.
Nah, that would have been the other movie. I'm not gonna
Oh
say the
yeah.
name. um,
Meanwhile, she because she was in that movie too.
spoilers, but yeah,
But yeah, like even just where we start the movie, them being at that job cleaning, I'm like, I feel like this was something that was a conversation. Maybe Racy didn't necessarily want to do that job, but like she's like, you know what, we do need the money. We can do this. I can go. I can get the interview. Da 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 da. Like I feel like that's like those like little subtle things that we're not seeing um in the movie while like as we're watching it, but just knowing the characters now, there's like I've been talking about Racine a lot just because I feel like she deserves somebody to stand up for her as well. the way she stands up for Anaya,
You
because there's
think if she was here right now, she would let you talk like that?
yeah.
She'd be like, "What you mean? I don't need no
No,
protecting."
she'd probably be real. She'd probably be real angry at me, but I'd be like, it's okay, Racy. I still love you. That's why I love you, girl. Yeah, no, I loved everything about their dynamic. I really did enjoy that. Um, we have this. It kind of like throws things on its head a little bit too, because some people would probably expect Anaya to be the one that is a little more aggressive, a
Why?
little
Because she's taller.
because she's taller, because she has the wounds, because like sometimes people are like, if you want me to be the monster so bad, I'll be the monster. Like,
I don't know. I'm gonna give a little pushback on that because I feel like that trope has been very common in a long time. Like the last few things I've seen, stories I've seen where there was a monstrous person, they're always typically like the kindest, gentlest thing in the world.
yeah,
Like Frankenstein's monster, Quasimodo. Those are older films, but
yeah,
even recently, if we want to go into like the tech versus nature spectrum, with the wild robot, where the wild robot you would think
oh,
would be like destroying the forest and killing the animals and raising everything to the ground for the sake of the humans that created it, was a mother to the entirety of that island. So I feel like I didn't even come into the movie expecting her to be the violent one at all. I didn't expect her to be so soft, but I also didn't expect her to even try to be like Racine. The only thing, the only reason why, or the only way I see her doing it is what happened near the end, where she had to. There was no other choice, and we'll
yeah,
get to that in a second. But I want to still talk about the twins and their duality and the dichotomy of their relationship, because it was like, to me, one only existed because of the other. And what I mean by that is, you can kind of tell as soon as this journey started, as soon as the first violent act occurred, that
mhm,
this wasn't a twin story. This was a sister story. This was a one person story.
mhm,
Racine was never meant to make it.
mhm,
Like, retroactively thinking about it, this was all about Anaya. Even from the
yeah,
beginning, when Angela Bassett. Wow. Even when Vivica A. Fox, my bad, Angela. Even when Vivica A. Fox was like, "It's something," I forgot what she said, but she was like, "I smell something," or something different about you. She knew she was pregnant. From the inception of this story, this wasn't a story necessarily about revenge. This was about, what's the word I'm looking for? Salvation.
mhm,
This was about saving someone,
yeah.
because the mom, the dad, and Racine were all the same entity to me.
I can see that. Yeah,
Because the further we go into the film, you see that they're kind of, the twins are separating a little bit. And you're seeing
yeah,
that Anaya is growing up and she's getting a bit of a backbone for herself. And even with their twin telepathy, which I thought was an amazing thing to put into the film, like how they would put the subtitles, you start to see
yeah,
it distort. It
yeah,
started out like they were synced up, the same font, the same lettering and spacing and everything. But as time
yeah.
goes on, as they're kind of becoming separate from each other, that telepathy isn't as strong, you know?
It's like it it becomes like disjointed. Like even both of them having like you were saying, the font was really blocky at the beginning, and then like once they start kind of like veering off, you even see like Racine's words kind of go like up and down and kind of like jumble a little bit. And then you see like Anaya's are kind of like not italicized, but they have like a little more of a it's like a softer like look to the font, which was really interesting. Um, yeah, there were. even what was it when she was still doing telepathy while Racine was knocked out. I thought that was interesting because I was like, how do you know that she knows what's happening? Like she's out, like she's
Twins
unconscious.
have a very intrinsic bond that we don't understand as people who don't have a twin. A friend of mine was actually telling me that their partner, who is a twin, they will have the craziest things happening. So like they'll think to call their twin, and before they even touch the phone, the twin is already calling. When the twin was pregnant, they live on different sides of the country. So the West Coast twin was pregnant, and the East Coast twin was having pregnancy cravings and was
Mm.
feeling what West Coast twin was feeling. And I'm like, this is like some crazy science here. So even in the movie, they probably had a way different connection, even subconsciously. If they're sleeping or one is knocked out, there's still communication and some sort of signals being put towards one another.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, like, there are moments where you see that, like, when they're not talking, because like there were like the times where Racine would sense that Anaya was in trouble, or when Anaya sensed that Racine went through with killing one of the brothers, and she's like, "Uh-oh, well," like you can kind of like see you can see it in her face. You watch her like have that moment of like realization, even though like she didn't hear any commotion, she didn't see anything happen. She just knew something had shifted. And I did really love that too as well. There are like those moments where you have Anaya. I like that Anaya can actually like see things for what it is, and be like, the reason she's the voice of reason is because she's more observant than Racine when it comes to a lot of different things. Because even in the beginning, like Anaya calls it. She's like, yeah, it feels like we're being used. It doesn't seem like we're actually going to benefit from this like at all. Um, it in addition to like, no, she hasn't talked to us in 20 years. She's only doing this as a way to get back at our dad, but he doesn't even know we exist because like he thinks we're dead. It's probably safer to.
No, I think he knew.
You think so?
I think he knew at the end. I think he just obviously didn't think they would come after him or be in contact with him. I think he always knew. Just the way he acted, I don't know, maybe because the way he was acting, we'll get into it. It was just like he didn't seem surprised by anything. You know what I mean? But I wanted to ask you, as a cisgender woman, did you feel sorry for any of the women in the film?
Um,
Because I've seen people, or I've heard some reactions where people are just like, "That's what you get," or typical shit that you would hear
yeah,
when an abuser is involved, and there's like this long form like uh Stockholm sort of vibe, for lack of a better
yeah.
term.
Honestly, now that you're saying that, I one am like just now
Because you didn't
thinking
feel sorry for Janelle Monáe. I remember when we talked about it before the show. You didn't feel sorry for Janelle Monáe at all.
I did until you feel me? Like, and it would have been different if it was like, if the twins were boys and they had killed her, I would have felt a little differently about it. But I think because one, this movie is so heavily women centered. Um, and it's funny that when you said that, I was like, oh wow, I didn't even realize how many women were involved in this movie until like just now. Like, yes, there is women and there are men, but it's like really, really, really through the lens and eyes and emotions of women. And I love that. But there is also like, we're talking about abuse. We're talking about people who have been abused and what that looks like in different people. So, you've got Vivica A. Fox's character who is feeling all of the rage and the pain and the anger. You've got Erica Alexander who, yes, she's a pygmy, but she's also a like it's a product of the abuse. Like she probably had a different like she probably grew up with this notion that men are God, like men are like the best possible thing to be is a mother and a wife to some man, and so being with Sterling K. Brown's character, being with the dad, uh, was one a no brainer, but also, her desire to build a church and like a shrine to him was something that she would have probably done for any man. And the fact that he was abusive, just kind of added to that, you know what I mean? I don't think she would have built a shrine for another man, but she definitely would have taken so much of like what that man did, wrongdoings, rights, whatever, and been willing to defend him through all of that regardless. That's what I mean. Um, but Janelle Monáe's character is so interesting because it reflects a lot of um, like both societal pressures on women, but also just kind of like this old tradition of being a kept woman, Like the reason she has the house, the reason she has the two kids, the fancy car, the money, all of that is because she put herself in a place. Like she was willing to be the um lightning rod to whatever like abuses that he was willing to dish out on
And
her.
I'm gonna bring up something I talked about before too, off camera. I think also she had the best version of the life was because the reason why I believe she had the best version of the life and because she's in the position she was in is because she had two boys.
Mm-hmm.
I think the reason why, uh, outside of the fact that he didn't, receive what he wanted from Vivica A. Fox was because he most likely didn't want girls because he himself knew what would happen to them if another version of him was out there with her, with the girls. So for him to be able to have boys, he can now have a different sense of one that what's the word I'm looking for? The self gratification, right? The mirror of himself, but then also he can impart onto them things that would protect them because they're at the top of the food chain, so to speak, in like the societal sense. So it's like I'm protecting you because you created something that I love more than anything else, which is another version of me. Because that's what they
Yeah.
were at the end of the day.
Yeah.
When it was all revealed and said and done.
And even with the twins, the oldest was actually the most like him than the youngest one because he
Yeah.
was ready to throw him away too,
Because he was
for
gay.
being
I think it was.
mainly.
I think
Yeah,
that was the main thing.
I think that was definitely the subtle, uh, like subtly in the script, but also, just any form of softness, any form of gentleness would have been looked at as weakness because if you saw like the moment anyone showed like any strength or pushback, that's when he activated his like abusive tactics.
Mm-hmm.
Like the narcissism came uh because everybody would be more agreeable. So like the reason he loved the older son, the taller twin was because he was more agreeable. He would do whatever Sterling K. Brown character wanted him to do. And he would be exactly like him. The reason what's it called? Ezekiel, like even though he was probably never gonna go
Ezekiel was
see
down bad, yo. Oh
or
my
that poor
god.
baby. Like
He would have opened up a Bible verse and said something about his daddy in that book.
and he was willing to write a whole Bible Bible dedicated to Sterling K. Brown's character. Like he was about to write a whole book.
The Book of Sterling.
Bro. But it was like you see Erica Alexander is so agreeable and so willing, but I think because there's not even a little bit of a challenge with her, he got bored.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what happened there.
That's
Because
actually a perfect reason, because we talked about this, like, why did he just leave? And it's like,
yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah.
he got bored with Erica Alexander because she was like, yeah, I'm down for whatever. Like I'll do anything you ask. Meanwhile, the the challenge, the issues that came with um him and Vivica A. Fox was the fact that she stood in her, like she stood her ground
And
against
she
him.
had a restraining order.
She had a restraining order. Like she went through the processes that come with like denying access to an abuser. Like the minute they can't get what they want, that's when they're throwing the tantrums. And a tantrum could be as, simple as them cussing you out or as violent as setting you on fire. And, when it comes to that kind of abuse, you really never know what end the end is going to be, unless they are actively working on themselves, which we see he was not. He was just, trying to find a new way to get whatever he wanted.
Yeah. And I guess we can kind of focus on him now too, because no, actually before that, because I feel like Janelle Monáe's character was the most tragic, because she was a mix between, she was more like Vivica A. Fox than Eric Alexander, because she was plotting, but it wasn't overt. So it was like a mix of both, where she was doing things to appease him on one end, but she was still trying to like get out. She had the money on the side. She had the flight plan. She's put pee in the bottle and sprayed it on everything in the house, which I thought was like really funny. But the fact that she waited so long, I think that was her detriment, because we saw what happened at the end when she tried to leave, and all she had to do was just be like, yo, I'm on your side. I understand. My fault. I didn't know nothing. Y'all go ahead and do what you got to do. Instead, she still has the Erica Alexander mindset and still is like, y'all trash. Your mama was trash. And I'm going to spit in your face.
Yeah, like, it's
spitting.
Yo, that was my favorite line.
Yeah.
I think that was the actress's favorite line too, because I saw like an interview where they were talking about like quotables and stuff.
Yeah.
Along with "You Ain't Shit, Devil," that was still things. But yeah, like the spitting in the face, it was like that mix of classism, and then on top of it, like it brought back that her being that kept woman. She was able to like look down on people as a result of accepting the abuse, like laying down and taking it. And I think because the twins existing kind of throws a wrench in everybody's plans, truly. And like her anger at them ruining the plan of her leaving, or just standing in the way of her leaving, is a result of her being able to get everything she wants as a result of like taking the abuse. And the fact that she doesn't want to take it anymore is like she has a right to be angry. She was just angry at the wrong person.
And I think the twins existing also is like a slap in the face, in the sense that like it makes y'all look stupid. If these two girls exist and they were burned alive, they are physical proof of everything that anyone's ever told you about them and all the lies that he's told you. So now you look like an idiot, And I think that's what made her snap. Because I think at first she was chill, right? And then all of a sudden, the more they kept talking, the more animosity she had towards him. Because it's like, holy shit, I've been dealing with this entire time, and he's been lying to me, and I had like this blind faith, on top of the fact that like I don't know, there's like different layers to it. So I feel like she just got activated in that moment, and when she spit. Also, I feel like that's savage in a sense because like classy people will do that, like spit on you, I spit on you, but it's like it's also kind of gross at the same time. Like if you're a classy, fancy person, that's not something you should be doing. So it's like in a sense, she's also being barbaric and savage as well, calling them
Yeah.
animals, but you're acting like an animal too. And this is what this
Yeah.
man is doing to you. Look at everybody. Look at what he's caused between all these women, right? It's like the animosity, the infighting, the bickering, and also more abuse as well. You know, the fact that Vivica A. Fox came back and just told him to go do something, that's like, I don't want to say another form of abuse, but it's also like indicative of his power, right?
Yeah.
Him being the opposite God, right? The movie is God is. Those are the two opposing forces, mom
Yeah.
and dad. And for us growing up, they are seen as that, not necessarily gods, but like very powerful beings who are just capable of doing so much, right? We idolize our parents because they gave birth to us, and they also provide for us, and they do things for us that other people wouldn't. So it's like there's a whole lot of really interesting themes and things at play here with this film, and even with like just the sock rock, right? I remember saying that it would kind of remind me of David and Goliath, the sling, you know.
Yes.
You know, they're using this to slay this massive giant of a man. And speaking of this massive giant of a man, Sterling K. Brown's character isn't seen until like nearly the end of the movie. You only see that one moment in the middle where the lawyer, who we didn't talk about, does the backstory about how he lost his tongue. But
Yeah.
like other than that, we don't see Sterling until the very end, and then it's like he's the antithesis of what you think an abuser would look like, right? And usually in these movies, it's like a Thanos, right? They're buff and they got all these scars and they're like creepy looking or whatever the case may be. This nigga get out the car, he got boat shoes on and these tight ass slacks. And then his voice was light too, which I thought was a really interesting choice because Sterling K. Brown's normal voice, as far as we know, is
Yeah.
very deep.
Yeah. It's not like a booming voice that like carries
Yeah.
over everything. And I think that's also part of like the kind of what you see with abusers, or like if you watch like those true crime documentaries, it's always like somebody that seems very unassuming. And what makes them, and that's part of what makes them so scary, is that they are not these people that are like forcing power on like outwardly, you know what I mean? Like they're not, oh, this macho, dude, I've got like they're not super flashy about it. And usually what happens is people like that kind of hide in plain sight, and they bring in this false sense of security through like various different means. Like maybe they start with like love bombing, or giving you, flowers every day, or doing something that seems like, oh, this is really nice. This is really caring. And then the minute you change something about yourself, the minute you say, no, I don't want to do this, or no, I don't consent to that, that's when you see the switch. That's when um their abuse start to kind of activate. And it might not even be like hitting, it might not even be like immediately like words that are like mean or anything like that. It might start from uh removing love, or like being cold. And then the other person's like, oh, what's going on? Like, are you good? Are you okay? Like it starts small, and then it escalates. And with Sterling K. Brown's character, like he is a sociopath. Like there's nothing, like there's something's
Yo, when
like
he came
medically
into
wrong.
that house and he walked past the corpses of his sons, went into
Yeah,
the
and was
kitchen and made a turkey sandwich.
made a sandwich. Yeah, no, like medically something is actually wrong with him. He's got a chemical imbalance. So it's not like this is you wouldn't be able to detect something like that unless you like know things about people's psyche and you were like observing him constantly. Like somebody who was maybe like a psychiatrist could have probably been like, "Hey, girl, something not right with him." Like, but when you don't know those things, you're in it and you just know that something is off, but you can't explain what. And I think Sterling K. Brown is such a great actor because like he's played various different roles where he's a little more like exuberant and jovial and like or he's like very serious. This was kind of this
Paradise.
yes. This was kind of this weird place where he was serious, but you really didn't know what about until the very end. Like, you're just like, "What where is your mind? What are you thinking about? And why do you seem excited?" Like,
I
when
think he
he's
felt
talking
immortal. I
yeah,
think he felt invincible because for however long he's been doing this, he's never had issues. Even when he was talking to Anaya, right? Which I knew was a fake out. You know, he's trying to
yeah,
be all calm and stuff. I thought he was going to punch her straight in her stomach. I
me
was
too,
so
I was
scared.
so scared.
I thought he was going to punch her straight in the stomach or stab her or something. But like, this is a man who has had no opposition, right? Anybody that has even winked at him the wrong way has been dealt with. You know, he cut the
Mhm.
lawyer's tongue out. He burnt his first partner, or if she was first partner, burnt his first partner alive with the girls. He abandoned the second one because she was too eager, and the third one only was around because, again, she birthed sons, men. You know, and it's like, regardless of the destruction that was laid before him, he knew in his mind that he could defeat these two little girls. There's nothing they could do. Even if he lost a limb, he would still win. Because there was barely, he didn't really put a lot of effort into the fight. He was literally like Thanos. He backhanded them like two or three,
A
four
lot.
different times. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't really
Yeah,
fighting. He was just like, get out of here. He was swatting them away like flies. So for
yeah,
him, his 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 character was so fascinating to me because there was no, because usually by then, you know, you would think, like, especially if the character's getting his ass whooped at a certain point, he'd be like, please stop. Cause I just finished watching The Boys, right? So you had this
yeah,
character of Homelander who's just like begging for his life. He's groveling because, you know, it's a little different because his character was always a punk bitch from jump. He just had superpowers. But
yeah.
like, even with Sterling K. Brown's character, there was no remorse, there was no fear, nothing, no murk, no nothing. You know what I'm saying? So it was just fascinating to me in that sense where he just seemed like unstoppable,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, like he felt it was almost like it was almost he was unfazed, but it was like even the idea of somebody coming into his home to try to attack him was like confusing for him. Like, what do you
Yeah.
mean? What do you mean you're coming
And I think
to
that was
girl?
also hubris too, because it's like,
Yeah,
he wasn't prepared for anything. He didn't have no knife, no gun, no other kind of weapon except for his hands and them tight ass
yeah.
jeans. Yo, the
And the
memes
way
were crazy. Cause I remember when he was on Paradise, everybody was talking about his shiny ass lips. And then when this came out and when he fell on the floor, I was like, whoa, what is going on right now, man?
everybody was like, why he's so caked up?
Yo, somebody on Threads was like, when he fell on the floor, the theater audibly moaned. I'm like, all right. You don't get his wife up here and get y'all. Don't do that.
Man, she like it. She she
Yeah.
eggs people on. That's what's so funny. I
Yeah.
love it. They're silly. Yeah, the hubris was there. The again, like that comes with that narcissism, right? Like there are certain people that are narcissistic, and if they are a narcissist met with a bunch of yes men, then everything is kind of heightened at that point. Like they can literally do anything. Like think about Kanye West for like the
I don't
point.
want to.
We don't have to like overall, but like for the point that he was like on top of the world, like when he was at his peak, that was when people were giving him nothing but yeses. He was saying anything and everything and getting away with it. Like now all of that is definitely like diminished a lot.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, you gave it's like giving a kid candy, like a kid candy and continuously giving them candy. Like that's all they got. They don't get no vegetables, they don't get no
Well,
fruit.
I don't even think with Sterling and even with Kanye, I don't even think with people like that they're being given stuff. They're just taking.
Yeah. I mean, I would say at the earlier stages, well, this is just for Kanye. The earlier stages, I think it was like that. Here's all of this. Here's all of this to kind of like build that fake confidence. You know what I mean? But there's it. It varies for different people. You know what I mean? Like there is always like something that either adds or takes away. And especially when we talk about like narcissistic personalities, it's best to kind of like be as clear and direct as possible with them so that you're not kind of trapped in whatever their whims are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like with Sterling K. Brown, again, like the half the reason that he was so malicious was when people did not do what he wanted or did not agree with him. Like even with the lawyer, the only thing he did was cut his tongue out, and that's crazy to say the only thing, but like it, it could have been worse. He could have killed him. He didn't kill him. He just he did that to send a message, right? And the reason he wanted him to kind of continuously think about that message, think about him, have him in fear was because like one that's power, like being able to know that he's put fear into somebody and they will think about him for the rest of their life. Meanwhile, he doesn't even have to give him a second thought anymore. Um, but also the his all his lawyer did was like fake a laugh. It wasn't like he said, "Hey, don't do this. Hey, that's wrong." It was like he was trying to be agreeable, but because he didn't give him everything that he wanted in that moment, it wasn't um what's the word I'm trying to say? I can't think of the word. I was on a roll though. Like, but yeah, I just there was so much to Sterling's character. And the thing about the voice, there's a that voice actor, her name is Tawny something.
Yeah, I know
I
you're
can't
talking about.
Yeah, but she was talking about how certain voices evoke like uncertainty in the audience member, not necessarily the character, because she was talking about the Joker and I think it was for the animated series, The Batman. I
Yeah.
can't remember. But yeah, and she was just talking about how in his more sinister moments, his voice would be kind of like higher, but also playful and kind of like um just it kind of did the opposite of what you would expect like a villain to be, because like most of the time villains want to be like these sinister, deep, menacing, like da, 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 like, but with the Joker, because one, yes, he's a clown, but also is like the scare it's scarier when he is in that state of like play, like he's gleefully doing all of this.
Yeah.
And something about Sterling K. Brown's voice being in that higher register, being more like, oh, this is just my day to day. Like it kind of adds to how freaking creepy it is. Because,
Yeah.
um, usually when people want to be intimidating, they try to like puff up their chest and be more like, aggressive and like,
There's actually a video she did about masculinity, and she played it against the boys
mm,
and how majority of the characters in the show are performing masculinity. They're not masculine, but they're performing some
Yeah.
generic form of what masculinity is. She kind of like she started referencing like John Wayne, and like each character had like something that affected them to make them speak in the way they do. So like Homelander has a very like high pitched like kitty kind of voice, but he also tries to like be menacing, but because he's such a punk ass bitch, it doesn't come off with that same like attitude and depth of someone that has authority.
Yeah.
So like it made me think when I watched that, it made me think about Sterling K. Brown's character where like he wasn't performing masculinity at all. That was just him in his natural state. And he probably even taught himself to do that so that he could lull people into a false sense of security. So when the moment happens that they don't giggle the right way, or they don't wear the right clothes, or they make a weird statement, then it's like he's still going to be him, and it's not going to be a shock outside of just the actions. And I think that's like that's an incredible performance for not only just the villain but for Sterling K. Brown himself, because most of his characters have always been like
Yeah.
deep voice tough characters. I think overall though the film is an extraordinary piece of art, and I think that we could talk about this for hours, and I think there's so many things to pick apart with it. And I think that the ending is unsettling because at the end of the day, Anaya is still alone, right? Her mom is dead. Her dad is dead. Her sister gone. She ain't got no friends. The dude that knocked her up don't exist if you think about it, because at the very beginning, and you pointed this out, you know, the way she talked about him, it was more like he was just using her for some quick ass, and that's it. He wasn't around. He didn't call to check up on her. He didn't send anything for her. You know, there was no presence of Eustace or whatever his name was at all.
Yeah.
And it's like at the end, while we're happy that she made it out of this alive, first of all, this wasn't even her struggle. She could have just lived a regular ass life. You know what I'm saying? She just got her kid. And because she still has the scars, people are going to still treat her like garbage.
Yeah.
So it kind of like it's a Pyrrhic ending for me because she still has to struggle.
Yeah. I mean, there is still sadness to it. I think I wouldn't say she's alone because again, she does have the baby. I think there is something. She seemed very peaceful with that though, if that makes sense. Like at the end we see her with the baby, we see her kind of in that shot, you know, at the end where she's like surrounded by flowers and
in the white dress.
In the white dress, exactly. Like yes, there's grief there. Yes, there is this you know, this ambiguousness of like what is she going to do now? What happens now? Where does she go from here? Um but in her like final monologue, she sounds okay. Like she sounds
Does she sound okay because she has? Does she sound okay because she has to be okay, or does she sound okay because she's genuinely fine and at peace? Because she just lost the only person in her life that cared about her. Nobody else gave a fuck. That was her only friend. That was her. That was her mom, her dad, her best friend, and her sister.
Yes.
So it's like, is she also putting on an act at the end just to be strong for her kid? And is this going to be a detriment going forward? Like, I'm overanalyzing it now, but like, is this going to be a detriment going forward as like she raises a kid, or she's going to be more overbearing because she's going to want to try to avoid the missteps of her parents and avoid the violence of Racine, you know? Because having a newborn baby by yourself is a lot. Having a newborn baby, period, is a lot. So to be by yourself, that's what I meant by her being alone. Clearly, obviously, she has the kid, but the baby can't talk back. Baby won't be able to talk until they're like 5 or 6, and even then, that's not really a person in that sense.
I would love to see
Is God
like
is too, and she goes to
not
kill Eustace or whatever his name is. I'm going to
Ellis.
kill your daddy.
Eustace is crazy.
We're gonna make your daddy dead.
Make your daddy dead. No, I think when I said it, I wasn't gonna say it is God part two was God was. But I think it would be interesting to see the child's storyline, like from this. Like what does that look like?
And that's how we get franchise problems. See, we can never have just one thing. And now, if this happened and it muddies the waters, they're gonna come get you.
There's not
Alicia gonna
gonna
come get you.
one is not gonna happen. I actually don't
Yeah,
want it
not enough white people like it enough for it to happen.
that high.
Unfortunately,
But also it's like again, it's ambiguous enough to where anybody could like put that story together and just
yeah.
like see what the outcome would be. Um, I just I understand like the idea of her maybe putting on a face to like convince us, the audience, that she's okay. But it also felt like I don't know. She looked a little more at ease, especially after everything burned down. Like when we see her at the bus stop, kind of sitting by herself, it's like, yeah, there's the what is going on? Like, what am I about to do now? The hopelessness there, but it's also similar to that moment where the smaller twin, the when he discovered that the his brother died, and then he starts laughing, and then he's crying, and then he
That's
comes back.
free.
It kind of had that similar vibe to it, where it's like she's sitting there. Yes, she's grieving. She's feeling hopeless. She's pregnant. She doesn't know what to do, but also she's free. She has a little bit of freedom now that she didn't before. She is going. I mean, she doesn't really have a choice but to be more, you know, strong for herself in future aspects. And on top of that, she's got a kid on the way, so she does have to figure something out. So she's not overall hopeless, I
I
would
mean,
say.
in my head canon, I want it to be that Eustace comes back and he calls her and he's like, "Hey, baby, I'm sorry I ain't talked to you for the duration of this movie. My
Like,
bad. We can go fight Ezekiel if you want because he tried to get you." Also, that scene, really quick, that scene was really crazy because I was trying to figure out who that was, and I did not think it was Ezekiel at all. Like I thought it was one of the brothers. I thought it was going to be. I thought it was two people coming after them, and I
yeah,
was like, "This is crazy." It was that was my favorite scene as far as like the action was concerned. But like in my head canon, Ezekiel comes back and he's like, "Hey, you want some money?" And then he goes by the house and then they live a happy life or whatever, because I don't want her to be alone. I mean, I'd rather her not be with him, but
yeah.
you know,
I don't. I know for a fact that his name was Ellis. You keep calling him Eustace, and that is sending me.
listen, he deserved to be
Eustace,
called out his name,
that
Eustace.
Eustace is hilarious.
What, hey? Stupid
Right.
dog.
I don't think he was. I had no like even inkling that he would come back.
No.
Just because again, it's part of that whole patriarchy thing, right? Like she's not a trophy. She's not.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because abuse, uh, like neglecting the disabled, of that. Like she's disabled, and in this particular instance, her disability just so happens to be cosmetic versus like any other form of disability, and like it falls into
I
that
think they did
issue.
experience pain sometimes too. That's why they were icing each other.
Well, yeah, yes, because burns. But I mean, for like from a surface level, it is mainly cosmetic. We see actively what happens, and it's tragic and it's horrifying. And it's supposed to be. But Um, and that kind of plays into what people consider desirable, what people consider like, and when it comes to um, dating, when it comes to like romance, that beauty is really a very strong subject. Like it, most people aren't dating people that they don't find physically attractive, or they're not. If they are, it's there's a lot that goes with it. Either they're going to be, stand up in it and be like, "This is mine. I'm sticking beside them," or it's a, or it's like, I'm keeping this secret because I don't want people to know, because people will, judge me based off of that in some way or another. And she is unfortunately experiencing that with Ellis, because like even how she talks about how they,
Do to
were
do.
do the do, yeah. And she's like, yeah,
Trying to keep my
I'm
channel.
okay with stupid. She's like, I'm cool with him like doing it from behind so he doesn't have to look at me. Like it's sad.
Yeah, no, it
That's
is.
it's and so like you already know like he's not here for her.
No, no, I'm not saying that it would have been possible or likely. In my head, that's what I want. But at the end of the day, this
Yeah.
is a movie about women. This is
Mhm.
a movie about women standing on their own and being able to like persevere through all of this tragedy,
Mhm.
because the story was about her at the end of the
Yeah.
day. So I'm fine with her being alone. I just, in my mind, I just want something good to come from it, because we don't know what's going to happen. Because first of all, where the fuck is she at? You know what I'm saying? Like, where she stand? Why is she standing in the woods looking up at the sky? What's going on
That's
right now? Are we in Sinners or something? Like, what? What's up, yo? Ryan Cooley. Um, but no, I thought it's a great ending because it does leave it up to interpretation. I do believe that it can go any direction you want, depending on how demented or how pure your mind is.
yeah.
And I think overall it's a narrative that I think is very important for our community specifically, and just for every community involved with men. Because there are a lot of people online debating this. I didn't see any because I don't really be on there like that. But there are a lot of conversations about people saying that the movie was anti men, or it was anti black family and all this stuff. So I think this is going to create a really good conversation around that. But like I said, we could talk about this for hours, and I definitely want to discuss the other film that's
Yeah.
kind of permeating the world right now, and the reason why we have all these colorful clothes on. I love boosters.
Golly.
We love boosters.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And I love Boots Riley because I think he is one of the few people that can create a story that always takes you to a place that you don't expect, even if you already expect the unexpected. And
Yeah.
we saw this with
Yeah.
I'm sorry to bother you. Not sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry to bother you. I'm a Virgo, and now I love boosters. Like, I knew going in there's going to be some crazy shit happening, and I knew that he was going to really dip into like the imaginative, but I did not expect it to go where I like. There was no point in this movie where I'm just like, oh yeah, no, I get it now. I see where it's going to go. Like,
Yeah.
I never figured out the plot. I
Yeah.
understood certain things that might have happened, like generic stuff, like there's going to be some infighting or whatever the case may be, but I didn't
Yeah.
expect it to go where it go. You being the fashion person out of the two of us, like this had to be like the biggest, best experience for you, because I know you were just like, who did this? Where'd they find that fabric at? Oh, I know what that's called. Ah, ah.
It's
Like,
so funny.
what was the
Like
experience like watching from that perspective for you?
I was th- th- I was taking in so much visually. It was like it was like being a kid in a candy store for real. Like there was so much there. You did not even I did not even know where to start half the time. But like there were parts that I think the fashion was like its own character, which I really, really liked. You just saw them going to like new lengths of like wearing all of these colorful clothes as like a distraction.
Yeah.
It's like it's a camouflage.
And real quick, I don't want to spoil this one.
Okay.
I think this is something that doesn't feel like you're going to experience it well if you already know what's going to happen. So I think
Yeah.
we should speak as vaguely as possible. Versus is God is, where I feel like that needed to be dissected in a very specific
Yeah.
way. So just be mindful, because I know you're gonna be excited and be like, you remember that part when?
You got it. You got it. My fault. Yeah.
No, it's all good.
Oh man, because there's like themes in both that deal with like abuse and like exploitation, and I'm just like but yeah, no, just visually there was just so much to take in. And um every time I watch a movie like this and I'm like, whoa, what's going on, I immediately start looking up the costume designer and like seeing what's going on with them. And oh shoot, I
Turns out
gotta
it's somebody you know
no
from the
no no
play
I know
world, somebody's
that
son or
would be
something.
I wish. I would love to do like a
Be mindful of your mic.
yeah. I would love to do a Boots Riley production of some sort. I think it would be like fantastic cuz he enjoys playing in a way that I think a lot of people don't really do in their work. Like like I know it was an edited process, but even with that, it feels like how did you continuously add more and add more and add more to this? Like just when I thought there was one thing done, there's like a new thing on top of that. And oh man, there was just so much going into that. But the clothes, yeah, the clothes were so interesting, right? Because the main character is it a spoiler? I don't know if
Hmm?
that's a spoiler. I was gonna say I can't tell if it's a spoiler or not because like the main character, the Kiki Palmer's character, like
Yeah, what about her?
she's a designer, so
What I
couldn't
mean,
tell.
I think is kind of evident. I mean, you just spoiled it anyway, but I think it's kind of evident though that like there is some element of fashion or like creation going on. Um, so yeah, I
Well,
mean, I think you could pick that up at least from her character versus like the other ones. Because I think they did kind of hint at it or directly say it in the trailer.
yeah, I was gonna
But
say I
that's
feel
like
like
that's not a big deal. I mean more of like the crazier things that happen
yeah,
in the
I
movie.
won't talk
Like
about.
you avoid that. But
I won't talk.
before actually you go on though, I think the most important thing that we shouldn't skip over is actually the title itself and the history of what that is. Boosting or boosters were and probably still exist, people who would get clothes in ways that we won't describe, and they
Yeah,
would sell them back in the community. Sometimes you'll have somebody pull out, like if you ever been to a barbershop, you probably have a guy come in with sneakers. You know what I'm saying? If you are a cis woman, you've probably been to the hair salon and somebody came in with some clothes, you know, or you see them on here, you see them on Canal Street or in other little places and neighborhoods where it'd be like this like little pop-up spot, and they would sell the clothes at a cheaper rate to the
yeah,
community. And that was something that was indicative, as Boots said it himself in an interview I watched earlier, that was indicative of the detriment of capitalism, right? The
yeah,
exploitation of lower income communities and just like the fashion industry itself. So that became a necessity for a lot of people to, one, make ends meet, but also get nice clothes for themselves.
yeah,
And I think it was like a fascinating thing to kind of touch on, because it kind of permeates through a lot of like here in the Black community, that's one thing, but it also reaches back, and we'll talk about that later on, but it reaches back into different communities that are affected without us
yeah.
even knowing it. But you go ahead, back to the fashion.
No, 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 you're good. Actually, there was like this podcast I would listen to like way back in like 2018 or 2019, and they were talking about this group of boosters called the Low Life Crew. And they were specifically they came out of Harlem, but they were specifically targeting like polo. Like they would always be in polo, and yeah, they used like they would wear some of the clothes, but it was like something that they brought to the community. And then on top of that, not only did they bring it to the community at large, like it became like a cultural standpoint. Like being dressed in all polo meant you were like a part of the low life crew, or like you were into like what they were into. Like it reached to like different states. I remember them talking about how it started becoming a thing where like the rappers and other artists would like kind of be in community with them, because they were the ones that would be able to like supply them with like nice clothes for their videos and like outings and stuff like that. And even now, they don't boost anymore, but like they still have this cultural um
That we know of. That's not something you broadcast.
as far as the one of the leaders said, they don't do that no more. He was just trying to get
We
everybody to
don't
be
do
like,
that no more.
he was like, we're
Boosting.
trying to
I don't know the meaning of the word.
no. He was like, we're trying to be like legit, because he talked about going to
I'm
jail
head
and
to
stuff.
legitimate.
And he wanted to like make sure that uh, his people weren't going to jail, or if they did, not that often.
Yeah.
But just that, like now they have like a yearly like barbecue or block party that happens, which is so crazy to me, because I was like, wow, that like, it started in one sector and now it's like a whole thing. Like it's a community wide like celebration of these people that, it's kind of like a Robin Hood sort of thing, but for fashion, you know? Um, yeah, I think Boots did something very interesting, kind of highlighting that culture. Because like now, the modern day version of that is like resellers. I feel like people that like.
My God, that is so crazy. As soon as you said that, it's like anything that was illegal and black has now
Mhm.
become white and legal, corporate. Like
Yeah,
look at cannabis. There's so many niggas that's still in jail right now for cannabis, but then
yeah,
you got white people open up shops. And then the
mhm.
resellers is insane. That whole industry is insane.
Yeah, because there are some people that are reselling that are actually like purchasing and then upcharging. But like half the time, I know people getting stuff stolen. Like I don't like you're not fooling me.
Yeah, I know you got this from on Depop. I know where you got this
Right,
from.
right. You selling it
This
on
wasn't
Depop, but
yours.
the fact that you have multiples of it, I'm starting to think that you didn't get this from like the thrift store. No, you got a truckload
And I'm not
outside.
snitching, you know what I'm saying? But I know. I'm just letting you know
But
I know.
I see it. Yeah, you on Poshmark and you got Jordans in like 12 different sizes. What you
Mm.
mean? What do you mean by that?
Oh my God. That scene was so funny in the beginning of the movie where Kiki's out at the club and she's like, what size you wear? He's like, I'm size 12. Then they go back to the apartment. And then the guy think he about to get some ass and then she's selling him some clothes. And then this nigga go, you got anything in size 8?
Size-
Because he was all
Yeah,
flirting. He was like, yeah, I'm a size 12. You know what that mean.
yeah,
And he was like, you got anything in a size 8?
right. So you was fronting anyway, and she knew though. That's what was funny. She was like, size 12. Now
Yeah.
don't play with me.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there's I think it was interesting seeing them change like their outfits, but their outfits being so loud and like, elaborate for the type of stuff that they needed to do. Like you need to be kind of stealthy in order to, be taking stuff like to be shoplifting. Like you can't be um, you know, I guess like part of it is like creating the distraction in a way visually, but it's also like, in certain parts, like you see down the line that can, get you caught up as well if you're so uh so loud, or so in your face that, it's recognizable in some
But
instances.
the thing is, too, and not to like give away the plot. There's also a bit of hubris in there from the corporation. They don't really give a fuck.
No.
They don't really care about that, and we noticed that throughout the film because they could have easily did what they had to do, but
Yeah.
it wasn't done because there was like this, at least between the main villain and Kiki's crew, there was like this rivalry. But in real
Yeah.
life, more times than not, they're either going to just let you do it to build up a case, or they're just going to leave that as a loss and get money back on, you know, insurance or whatever that shit they do when stuff is stolen. So I feel
Yeah.
like the movie plays into that a little bit because of that, and also just kind of like being a little bit larger than life because this is a Boots Riley film. And I really liked that first outfit, and I wonder how she found out about it. And I was thinking like maybe somebody she brought back to the spot was like one of her people that was spying or something. Because there's no way, because she didn't post it online, she didn't talk about it, and the next thing you know, because I thought that was going to be the main plot of the movie. Next thing you know, it's in the store.
When they were talking about the like, because I thought she had like submitted it or something,
Yeah.
or like, because I've known people to be like, oh, I'm a fashion designer. Like I've actually had this happen to me where people be like, I'm a fashion designer, and then like immediately bring out their portfolio and start showing me stuff, and it's like, okay, cool. I can't do anything with this, but like your stuff is great. Like I wish you the best. But
That's
like,
actually a cool sign because they think you can do something. They saw it before you did, you see?
I appreciate that. I appreciate it. But it was like, uh, you know, there have been times where people do that. So like I thought that that was what was gonna happen, or like that was like how we got to that point. But like either way, that some stuff like that happens all the time in the industry as well. Like people have talked about how their work has been um recreated or stolen, or like people on like online, a lot of the time a lot of online designers have to talk about how Shein and sometimes even like those well-known
A
brands like
girl A girl
Mhm.
had her stuff stolen from Shein. I can't remember who it was, but there was a post a while ago. This girl was talking about how she uploaded something, and I think it might have been a dress. And literally, like maybe a week later, Shein made the same exact thing and was selling it
Yeah,
obviously for way cheaper because it was different materials, cheaper materials. And I think
yeah,
that's such an insane thing to see, and it happens everywhere across the creative industry. It happens in animation, happens in comics, happens in anything, and it's wild. Even with the influencers, people like big name influencers will browse smaller channels, take their ideas, and then repurpose them as their own. And people do
yeah,
call them out for that, but 9 times out of 10, they typically get away with it, which is
yeah.
just absurd.
And it's really hard with fast fashion brands, especially because sometimes it's like trying to get the stuff removed is almost like it takes like years to even to get them to like stop producing the thing. Um, but I've seen it several times with Shein. Like it that's not even just like a one-off thing. I've known several designers to be like, Shein stole my thing, and they have it right now in circulation.
And
And
can they
there
not do anything because Shein's in a different country, or is it because it's such a litigious process that it don't even go
I
anywhere?
think I think it's a little bit of both because a part of the process has to do with the fact that they're in another country. And so like there's a lot of different there's like a bigger legal battle, especially when it comes to like intellectual property. And for some reason, the fashion industry has a really hard time with defining what is like a a copy or recreation versus like a direct idea. Because even the high end designers get into legal battles with each other. I remember like in 2015.
Edna Mode versus Miranda.
Basically, yeah, like no, Gucci and Louboutin got into a legal battle because Louboutin has the famous, you know, red on the bottom
Wait,
of the
say it
shoe.
again.
Louboutin,
Louboutin?
Christian Louboutin, Louboutin. I
So
can't
it's
speak
not
French.
Louis Vuitton?
No, different brand. Louis Vuitton is LV. Louboutin is a different
Are you saying Bhutan, like B, Bhutan?
B. Yes, with a B.
Oh, I don't see. See, this is how you fancy it to me. I don't know who Louboutin is.
Okay.
But go ahead.
No, but
Louboutin.
the,
You know that boy.
those
You know that boy over there. Louboutin. You know you making them bags and stuff.
the red bottoms, the red bottom shoes. So you don't know that either. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. Well, they're famous for their shoes that have a red sole. Like so, all of
Oh, is
their
that the
heels.
song that is that part of the song Cardi B song? These
Well,
expensive. These is red bottom. Oh, she's talking about Louboutin.
yes, there you go. But
Ah.
they are famously expensive, and they have the signature red sole. Gucci decided to put out a line of shoes. Like this has been almost 10 years now, but they had tried to put out a line of shoes with different colored soles. One of them happened to be red, and they got into a full legal battle between Gucci. There was a full battle between Gucci and Louboutin because Louboutin was like, "Hey, red soles are our thing. What are you doing? Like y'all can do whatever color soles y'all want. Stay away from the red soles." And like I just remember it being because it was in like this magazine called Women's Wear Daily, and that's pretty much where you get most of your fashion news from. So it covers like everything from like manufacturing disputes all the way to like the actual creative design work. So like who's doing a show where, whatever. And I just remember them talking about that, and I believe Louboutin won the case because of that. Hmm,
You're pulling the mic away from me.
sorry. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. I just remember the case. I believe Louboutin won, and Gucci had to like I think they had to take any like red soles off the shelves or something like that. I'm gonna have to go back and look at that. But it was interesting that, even in like the higher end areas, people can oftentimes end up stealing from each other like in those spaces as well. Like I'm used to higher end retailers and like fast fashion stealing from like independent designers
But
in
I
one way
feel
or
like that one, if they only put out red, I feel like that'd be like, all right. But if you're saying they put out a multicolored bottom sole, then I feel like Louboutin can't be like, yo, what you doing? Especially if it's like a limited run or something like that. Like at least, or what could have been done is like, hey, we know you do red. Can we do just like a different kind of red or something? Because I just feel like that's like, I don't know, that feels kind of petty to me.
I mean, it could be, but like there's
Versus
also
like, because I'm saying like it's a colored bottom versus like an actual shoe design. Like okay, take this controller for the VR, right? Now if
Mhm.
somebody took this, if Louboutin made this design and then somebody copied the same exact design, I would understand that versus like if they just had like a button that was blue. It's like, okay, but I don't know.
I
Maybe
mean,
my brain is not in that world enough to really understand the sanctity of that.
it's a slippery slope though, because like what's stopping them from making uh shoes, continuously making shoes that end up having the red. Like, yeah, they have multiple colors, but then what if they scale back and they're like, okay, we're doing yellow and red now.
And that's when
Okay,
you
we're
get them, because
red
then it's like, all right,
now. Like,
now you tripping.
yeah,
Like use
but
your purple shoe.
yeah. Hey, I'm not Gucci or Louboutin.
You
It already
sure?
happened.
I don't know. You got a lot of
It's
sewing machines back there.
true. But yeah, no, I liked how the movie covered so many things like in in a short span. Um, but like it covered like the issue with high fashion or high end fashion and like who it's actually like, who the consumer actually is, who's the workforce behind the retailers, you know, who is the workforce behind the designs and means of production. Um, you know, even with them working at the store, like that was a whole thing because I've
With the
experienced
paycheck,
the paycheck
is
was
that a thing
crazy.
that really happens at high end stores?
So I haven't done luxury retail, but I have done like luxury adjacent. So like I've worked at a Nordstrom, but the last uh company I worked
And for
with,
context, really quick context in the film, this is not a spoiler. There's a part where they show employees in a high end fashion store, and the high end fashion store forces the employees to wear their clothes. So, in part for them wearing the clothes, their paycheck gets a steep cut. So, instead of getting an actual full paycheck that allows them to have a livable wage, they're getting paid a pittance because they're forced to wear clothes that they didn't want to wear in the first place. So, yeah.
yeah. So like certain stores will make you wear the brand's clothes in order to you know, represent the brand in its entirety, like while people are shopping there. It's a whole thing about like making sure that, you know, you're marketing the brand while you're in the store. Um, when I worked for Madewell, which is the J. Crew brand,
Hmm.
all of our jeans had to be Madewell jeans. And I think the same thing is with Gap. Like all of your jeans have to be from Gap.
Hmm.
Um, and you could wear like any tops you wanted. Most of the time, they were trying to like incentivize us to buy more stuff from Madewell in order to like promote the brand. So like they'd be like, "Oh yeah, we got discounts on purses this week. We've got discounts on da 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 da," like for employees, to try to get us to like spend our paychecks, which already weren't a lot. And like the product there is more than what we could afford, even with the discount through working there. Like if I worked there full time, I still wouldn't have been able to afford the clothes there and, you know, live. Like I was working there in college, so it was a little bit different for me. So like being able to spend the paycheck, it was like, you know, nothing. But
Nothing. No
no.
mert.
Um, but you know, there were people I worked with that were like moms and like you know, they were there to get a paycheck because we're living in, you know, a very expensive part of DC, where which is already expensive. We're like all trying to like survive. Meanwhile, they're like, you can only wear Madewell denim, and because that's like their big thing. And I got a lot of stuff at the thrift store. So like I even though I wasn't wearing like stuff from the store, I still got like the brand and
But
I
they didn't
got
get
stuff.
on you from like for like wearing like last seasons, like in the
They
movie.
wouldn't have known. No. They would
That scene
one
was
they
so stupid. I was like, I thought they was about to get in trouble. This nigga talking about y'all are wearing last season's fashion.
To be fair, that's a little more of an exaggeration. And it also depends on the company because like one of my ex, he used to be security for is that Valentino? And I remember he was a security guard, or it was either Valentino or Louis Vuitton. And this is a security guard, so like he's not really in the store like that. Like they still made him purchase a suit from from the store. Like they gave him like a discount. He was like, "Yeah, it was like 40% off." I was like, "But that's still a lot." Like you still, he was like, "Yeah, yeah, you
That's
know." And I was like,
crazy.
"And you're a security guard. That's crazy."
That is
Um,
insane. And I think horrible, it's such a horrible thing to do, a horrible practice because
yeah.
you're working what 30, 40 hours a week and you're barely making a living, right? You got to buy your own shit, groceries. You might be taking care of a kid like the single mom you told me about just now. You might be going to school. You got bills, you got medical bills, card note, all this stuff. And now you got to buy the $1,000 suit or dress or whatever that's 40% off, that's still gonna be mad money. And if you don't, they're probably gonna reprimand you.
Yeah.
And like you can't fight back because it's probably written in their policies that employees have to wear a certain type of, you know, aesthetic or whatever. That's crazy. And the fact that like the movie touched on it so briefly in that moment, because it wasn't even a major plot point. I mean, it led up to a major plot point, but the fact that like, yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking about with Boots Riley, because there's always so much going on, and you even said it yourself. And even the plot of fashion is just a vehicle to what the real issue is, which is classism and capitalism harming our society in so many different ways. You know, people who have to work long hours in a factory and they're getting sick, you know what I'm saying? They're getting like severe fatal diseases. You got people who are, you know, obsessing over different types of fashion because they think it's going to make them feel better or look better or be better in society. And what this movie is at the end of at its core is about revolution and about coalition building and revolution. And not to give away the plot, but like it was very interesting to see where it ended up, because that's not where I expected it to go at all. So to see this class solidarity, to see the blurring of the lines for a common villain or a common cause, was something that we need to see in the real world for any kind of significant change to happen. Because Boots also, in that same video I talked about, he kind of was like, he was saying like, he didn't say, he said it without saying it. He was kind of targeting all the new form or new wave of like protests and shit, like the No Kings March and all this shit. And it's like, that's not going to change nothing, because one, there's no plan. Two, there's not a lot of solidarity between all the issues, because you got people who are angry, but then it's like you don't care about the LGBTQIA plus community. You don't care about the black folks. You don't care about the brown folks. You only got your own ideology as a white woman or as someone else that is of high class. Then it's like we're not consistent with it. The No Kings thing lasted like a day, and it was like a spectacle. He was saying that people are more concerned about spectacle than actual action. You know, I'm paraphrasing. But like, that's what it was. It was like this big social media event. People taking selfies. They're having costume contests. It's like, what is this really?
Yeah.
This isn't revolution. This is just engagement farming for your followers so you can get more money.
It's the vagina hats, because it's like, what does that do after, you know?
Yeah.
You just have it on.
Yeah, and it's like, I feel like that part is going to go over a lot of people's heads. I'm not saying that like no one's going to get it, but I feel like that part is just going to fly over a little bit, and hopefully like people watch it more than once, maybe 2 or 3 times, and they see what it's about. He also says something in that same interview about creativity itself. He says you have to have a reason for why you're creating. And I never thought about it, because I've done that without thinking about it. Because I think if you're really putting stuff out there, it's just a natural thing to you. You're not overthinking it.
Yeah.
Because you do have people that are making art for art's sake, right? They're making art just because it's a thing to do. And it's like, that's cool and all, but like, what's really happening? Like, why are you really doing this? You know what I'm saying? Outside of you just wanting to be in a museum or be on a big social media viral post or whatever. So for me, like, when I did Unit 333, that was me talking about mental health, right? It was a horror comic, like the original one. It was a horror comic. It was a horror story. But at its core, it was me talking about my personal experience with mental health, living in a psych ward, and also highlighting the issues that other people are going on, that are experiencing inside these spaces. Because nobody knows what's going on. There's a lot of dismissiveness when it comes to that. So it's like people say you're crazy or you're this or you're that, and they throw you in there. They throw everybody in there. You could be a homeless person on the street and just throw you in there because they just need you off the street. They don't actually help you. I was in the same space as those people, and because I had more cognitive functionality, they treated me better, and they didn't treat me that great in the first place. They treated me better than they did them because they had nobody to talk to. They had nobody outside. and there was no connection to them to even like report if there was something going on. So
Yeah.
my whole purpose of talking about mental, or my whole purpose of creating Unit 333 was to bring attention to that conversation and to bring attention to what has been a disruptive force throughout the Black community for such a long time. Because usually with mental health, you hear people talk about like, oh, that boy's touched, he got the devil, or she's too fast, and she's this and she's that, and it's like we don't really talk about why, you know, certain kids act the way they act, or even adults. The same thing. It's like, yo, your uncle fucked up because he got anxiety, or he was, you know, harmed when he was younger, or something happened to him recently. The same thing with your aunt or your grandma, whoever else, you know. So I definitely appreciate Boots creating something that has depth to it, that's still fun, that's not boring, it's still educational, but is also exciting at the same time. And then you can have little bits of randomness there too. And I think even with the randomness, there's still like some meaning behind it, like Lakeith Stanfield's character, which I'm not gonna like spoil, because I think that's a really like fun thing that someone should experience for the first time. But like even with that, yeah, that was insane. That was insane.
And you know, like you think you know he's gonna be. You're like, okay, yeah, this is a Boots Riley thing. I know it's gonna be ridiculous. And then even in the ridiculousness, you're like, okay, Boots, that was even more ridiculous than what I
And now I
expected.
know why Guillermo del Toro was thanked in the credits. Because I was like, Guillermo del Toro, and I was like, oh, all right, I get. And also, he's been getting a lot of credits lately because he was also thanked in Mandalorian and Grogu, which I just saw as well.
I'm actually liking whatever's going on with Guillermo del Toro right now.
He's been on a roll lately. He even just did a Patron commercial.
Yeah.
With those skeletons and stuff.
I was like, his collabs have been kind of crazy recently.
Yeah, shout outs to Guillermo.
I wish I could roll my R's.
You can't roll your R's?
Not really.
Oh God. Okay. I'm scared. I'm calling the authorities.
I didn't get that. I didn't get that one.
So if you had to be in that world, you're in I Love Boosters, and you see all this stuff happening, are you, as a fashion person, are you trying to like be down with the cause, or are you going to like just go with the motion? Because I feel like people can go either way, because if you disrupt the status quo, then the people that are already like benefiting, and I'm not talking about the higher ups, I mean even just like, because I'm thinking about like influencers, and I'm thinking about like regular ass artists, and it's like we're all benefiting in some way. So it's like, are you down to get down, or are you just gonna be like, y'all tripping?
No, I think so. I probably would be a little late to the party just because of how I get information. But I don't be knowing stuff happening until it's already happening.
What do you like, Christopher Nolan? You ain't got no emails. Did you see that interview? Yo, Christopher Nolan say he got a flip phone and he don't answer his emails. His wife does it. He don't got no social media, no nothing.
Shout out to Christopher Nolan. I'm trying to be like him. No, but like even in the work that I do now, I'm always talking about like, if it's not class consciousness, I am always talking about just like where we are with fast fashion, where we are with fashion and manufacturing in general. So I'm pretty sure I would be down for the cause. Low key, I'd probably buy from the boosters. Like I'm not, you know, I'll go sit here and be like, you know, turn my nose up or anything. I'd be like, oh, where y'all get that? Y'all got that from an old girl? Let me go see what she's talking about. Like it would probably be something like that. But you know, um I feel like I would be a part of people at least talking about like what changes could be made, because low key you know, with working at the high end store,
y'all need to unionize.
I would working where I work and working at the high end store that I used to work at. and then seeing the scenes with the high-end store, I'm like, yeah, the scene was a little bit of an over exaggeration, but like not by a lot. um it depends on the store. um because yeah, I probably would have been like, well, that's unfair, that doesn't make any sense. I definitely wouldn't be one of those people that would like keep my head down about it, because i'm
Yeah.
i'm not quiet about things now. When I don't like a certain thing, or if I think something is unfair, and especially if people give me the freedom to talk about it, like if they ask me, I'll be like, oh, so glad you asked me
So
about
if
this.
you had to sacrifice certain types of fashion, it would just be easy for you off rip.
I mean, it's easy for me now, so I don't think it would be that hard for me to sacrifice, because even in the last couple years, I've kind of explored like my connection with like what I liked about fashion, what I like about personal style, and then also like, do I have a shopping addiction? And it's not even just like just me. I recognize that people in general have, especially in America, have a
Consumption addiction.
yeah, we have a consumption addiction in various different forms. Sometimes it shows up in buying clothes. Sometimes it shows up in buying different gadgets. It shows up in different ways. It even shows up through social media, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, with that examination, I've often started to like, because I recognize it in myself, I start to see it in other people. So I start to try to at least talk about it, uh, you know, and even if it's like a mild like scolding of like friends and family, it'd be like, hey, please stop, you know, please stop shopping at Temu. Like I had to get my dad off Temu because he used to have the app, and I was like, you don't get give me your phone because what are we doing? Get this off of your phone. It's way too easy for you to acquire all of these things. You don't need it. Like that's a smaller version of what like a larger conversation, you know? But I think um I have slowly started to be even more conscious about like how I manage like consumption within my own house, and how that affects the people around me, and how it affects me, you know? Um like I've been purging for at least a couple months now, like just clothes in general. Like I'm realizing that eventually I'm gonna have to start learning how to live with less, and be okay with that. And not in
Hippie
like a
minimalist way.
yeah, not like that, but just in a conscious way of like, hey,
I only have
it's
one
not
pair of
normal.
jeans and one pair of underwear, and I wash
Like
them every 3 days.
that's not normal. That's not normal. But like I don't need 20 dresses. I don't need like a new outfit every month. I don't need like to always have a different bag. You know
So
what I
what do you
mean?
say to, I guess the better question is, what do you say to your peers and colleagues? Because the fashion industry, fashion influences, and the entire spectrum of it is always about consuming and
Yeah.
judging people for not consuming and not having the latest, or wearing, if you're wearing something old, that's it. Like it's, to me, it's very like, for lack of a better term, it's very awful. To walk outside and somebody might put a camera in your face and judge you because you're wearing, just some regular ass outfit or something you feel comfortable in. So, what do you say to those people who are part of the problem, but also are the reasons why like fashion exists in the first place? You know,
Yeah. I mean, it's a billion-dollar industry. Like there's so many people that are affected by the fashion industry in various different ways. But I think it's really time to have like a bigger conversation about like why we consume the way we do, and what it is that we're doing. Because there are fashion influencers or style influencers that are not purchase like doing like I have to have a new outfit every time you
Oh,
see
show
me
me
on.
them people, because all I see is the ones that just like come with me to blah blah blah, and I'm going to buy 20 outfits, and I'm going to judge you, and if you don't have them, Mike Wazowski, you know.
I was about to say, what's going on with the voice? No, I mean like that ended that does exist, and then there's also the flip side, and I think that is I think that's kind of how it is with a lot of different industries. But there is a flip side to like the overconsumption, like Shein hauls, Akira hauls, like
I knew Akira Hall. She was pretty cool.
I I was trying to get past it.
Sorry.
No, you're good. But like there is a flip side to that. Like there are people who talk about personal style and like repeating outfits and repeating pieces from your wardrobe. And like and they show you like what they would do, how to wear one thing a million different ways. And kind of encouraging the the longevity of things. I've seen creators talk about archiving pieces, like having stuff that they would be able to pass down to like their kids and stuff
Mm.
like that. I've seen creators that specifically talk about thrifting and upcycling, and there are creators that talk about like even if they do get new things, like what the intention is behind purchasing new from where. Like a lot of the creators that I follow tend to be Black women, and a lot of them are very intentional about um, purchasing from Black designers and then explaining what those purchases are. Because it's not like the Black designers are selling um, like at fast fashion prices. More often than not, they're getting their work stolen on top of that.
Yeah.
But like the prices tend to reflect the amount of work put into these garments. And a lot of the designers that I'm thinking about, the more often than not, they are trying to like put out things that have longevity, have staying power, and have like um, a brand identity that goes farther than just the clothes. And so, like what I have noticed with a lot of, and I'll only speak to like Black women creators that I follow, is that a lot of them are trying to highlight these brands, and even with the brand itself, they're trying to make sure that you see this particular product and not like cycling through many different products from this brand. You know what I mean? Like it's not I have to have 10 Brandon Blackwoods, and I have to have every piece in my closet from Hanifa, and like it's like showing, oh, I got these pants and they're
I held back
Hanifa.
so bad just
What?
now. I'm gonna say it anyway. You said Hanifa. I was gonna say Hanifa. I hardly know her.
I truly cannot.
Yeah.
The jokes. But yeah, like there's you're starting to see more people, and I feel like a lot of it has to do with the fact that people ain't got no money. So like when you're poor, the amount of consumerism kind of goes down when you don't have enough to spend. Like, but it's getting to a point, I think, especially with uh more independent creators, more Black women creators, that we are starting to focus on like being intentional with fashion, being more conscious versus every time I go out, I have to buy a new outfit, or every time I go on vacation, I have to buy like a trunk load of clothes in order to be on vacation, or like because
Do
those
you
things.
feel the movie had a good conclusion to that? Do you think that it kind of touched on what to do after this revolution happens and what we're
I,
supposed to do next?
I don't I don't know. I For me, I felt like where we were at the end of the movie was still like we're still in it. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like there wasn't a conclusion yet. Like um like people who fought during the civil rights era and only like really didn't see the fruits of their labor until they were older. I feel like the movie is kind of we're in we're still in the fight. Like it didn't feel like the movie ended with a fight being over because there were still protests happening.
And I guess that's my only gripe with the film. I still think it's a 10 out of 10, 11 out
Mhm,
of 10. But I feel like for something this poignant,
mhm.
and maybe he did this on purpose to kind of just like leave it up to you, like, hey, you got to figure it out. But I feel like when we do things like this, when we say we got to tear the systems down, and when we say we have to eat the rich and we got to, get rid of all the corporations, the billionaires and things like that, I feel like if you are someone who is leading that thought process, there should be some solution afterwards that you demonstrate, right? I feel like the movie does a great job with setting us up with the idea of what to do, but not showing us what comes next after that. Because I feel like when you don't give us some sort of direction, not saying that we're like mindless sheep, but if you don't give any direction on what to do next, then it feels like you could easily slip right back into where we were to begin with.
Well, that was kind of also the plot that kind of happened with Sorry to Bother You, right? Where like it was revealed that people were turning into horses. Like where I'm literally trying to make you a slave. Like
Spoiler
and
alert.
wait, that's an old
It
movie.
don't matter.
Oh man, okay, okay. Spoiler alert for if you haven't seen the movie after 10 years. The basically, that whole ending was like, yeah, people were outraged, but only for like a small amount of time, for a small window of time, and then things kind of went back to things as usual.
Yeah.
Um,
So I guess the follow up question is, from your perspective, how do you think you see effective change from transitioning from fast fashion, high fashion, judgmental bullshit, corporal run, capitalistic entities to something more holistic and actually beneficial for the people?
um, I think it I think people need to first have a willingness to start imagining new options, new solutions. I think what often where we often end up a lot of the time is like people are like, yeah, things need to change, but I don't know how, but I don't want to think about the how. And in the fashion industry, a lot of people's bottom line is the money, right? Like a lot of designers, if they stopped designing to the extent that they do, if they stopped doing like 5, 6 shows in a year, um, to promote a different seasonal line, that means you might be making less money. And then that making less money affects various different things, right? It affects how are you going to pay this manufacturer, even if you don't pay them that much to begin with. How are you going to pay to get this stuff from this people? How are you going to uh, pay the retailers? How are they going to pay the workers that work in the retail industry? How are you going to essentially keep your like your house and your things that you've purchased? It's and the fear that comes with that is why people stop at at just the thought, like the fear that comes with the change and the possibility of sacrifice.
And the fear is there because we built up, well, not we, but our society has built up a system around capitalism that
Yeah.
that forces us to only think of that. You know,
Mhm.
a lot of people don't understand the concept of socialism in itself, or even eco-socialism, where um, in this system, people are looking out for one another. It's not necessarily about capital gain. It's not necessarily about making money. It's literally like, if you said you needed fabric and I have fabric, I'm giving you fabric. Or even, I'll change the scenario. If you're a carpenter, I can't build, but I can also like I can cook really good food and I can make you a pot of food that feeds you for a week and you build me a porch. That's how that works. You know what I'm saying? Equal exchange of goods or services. It doesn't necessarily have to be like, here's $1,000, do this, or here's $5,000 and do that. So I think a lot of people don't understand that concept because um, we just think about money too much, and we're forced to be in that because that's what the system is. Like, we can't just magically snap our fingers. But I would hope that with the fashion industry, there's a little bit more mutual aid in that sense, where designers are making things for sustainability, not just to make $100,000 off of whatever big name person, whatever the case may be. I think if
Yeah.
we have people like you and others, other influencers who are actually more community focused, not saying that you're not community focused, I'm saying in the general sense,
Yeah.
if there were people that were making stuff for the unhoused, you know what I'm saying? If there were people making stuff for young children, especially during winter time, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I know so many kids. If I knew how to sew, I would probably try to do something, a little something here and there. Because I know so many kids that grow out their clothes that don't have enough. They got hand me downs or shit that's ripped open or whatever. Even adults,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? People are broke. You know what I'm saying? Like, if there was a system like that in place, like a few hours a week where there's like a workshop being taught and you can teach other people how to do it. I'm just thinking of other solutions. And that's where I was kind of asking you like ideas in terms of like what the fashion folk could do to kind of put us in a different direction, to get away from the fast
Yeah.
fashion, to get away from the harmful practices, to get away from the exploitation of workers on either side of the aisle, to get away from the classist nature of what fashion is. Because again, that's another layer to it, where people really shit on folks for no reason, just because they're not wearing the hottest Louis Vuitton from the current season. And I think that's awful. Imagine you put on your best outfit, you go outside thinking you look good, and now you got somebody taking a photo of you or a video of you. They put it on Instagram or TikTok, it gets 1 million views, and now you're the joke of the week. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? You become a new meme. Like that dude that was like, I ain't fresh. Remember that? Remember the old
Yeah.
head? You know what I'm saying? That sucks.
And he was from Texas, I could tell. But and what's so funny about that is he actually was. I don't know what was wrong with them children. He was fresh. That was
It was a nice outfit.
it was a nice outfit. It was a cultural sort of thing. So like I understood exactly what I was looking at. I was like, yeah, no, he did that. And I bet he smelled good. But but no, like there are certain there is a small sector, but I feel like it's growing constantly because even in those moments, you start to see like bigger companies try to do eco fashion, even though it ends up just being greenwashing in most cases. Uh, but it is is a result of eco fashion uh, creators. So like there is a um, company based out in LA in California. I'm not sure if it's LA, but called Sway. And it's not Sway like Sway in the morning. It's Sway something. But he does upcycling. His company does upcycling, and um, he hires people in house to sew and do manufacturing, and all of the clothes are remade from either old clothes or old like, at one point, he was using banners to make jumpsuits, banners from, like, sports competitions and stuff, and he was using that to make jumpsuits, and then, like, every year, he does, like, a coat drive that comes from the upcycled coats from, his store, in addition to people donating, and then, Then there is
Your name is, he said, you did, I can't even talk. You said his name was Sway, like SWAY.
yeah, that's the name of the company.
Okay.
And I can send you the link to that
Yeah,
because
because
it's
I
really,
want to put that. I'm gonna put that in the people who are watching now. I'll put that in the description.
yeah, because his stuff is really, really dope. And like it's not just like, oh, it's looks like upcycled stuff. Because some people are turned away by the idea that it just looks kind of, lack of a better word, trashy.
I know
And it does,
I've seen shit like that because there was a store over here. I don't remember where it was at. I think it was like near Astor Place, and it was like a upcycle natural eco store and all this shit. Like, you know, like when you watch a sci-fi movie, and because like it's a mass produced like crowd or whatever, and they're not main characters, they put everybody in like a brown shirt. That's
yeah.
what it looked like, and I was like, I can see why people don't want to wear this shit.
Yeah, and it's like this is the kind of stuff that turns people away from like eco fashion and upcycling and stuff because there's not like intention, there's not artistry to
Mm-hmm.
it. And no shade to that store, but like, they might think there's artistry to it, but for the majority of people, like most people buy clothes to look good. So like if it looks like a project, then it tends to turn people
Them
away.
Kanye West oversized shirts.
Right.
Wait, was
And
his stuff eco? Like the
so
Yeezus? Oh no, okay.
no,
They
it
look like
wasn't.
it.
No, the shoes alone were made of like foam rubber, and it's like a now mass produced
Mm.
foam rubber substance that no, it doesn't. It's not biodegradable. No.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, like it's not these sorts of things are so they're building as they go because again, also the practice of socialism, the practice of recycling and upcycling is so foreign to what our society has been built on for like the last 250 years. Um, and so like we
You said
see,
250 years?
yeah, because America's about to be
Yeah,
250.
America's birthday.
Uh-huh.
My little eagle sound.
That was amazing. But yeah, like there is I feel like there are ways that even the fast fashion, not fast fashion, like the higher end fashion could be part of the solution. Like having something that I do like with Nordstrom was that they had like a tailor. They have a tailor on hand. And some higher end luxury people will have like tailors, which means that your clothes are custom or like you're able to get your clothes custom and mended and fixed. But I think having
But that probably costs a
more
lot, right?
it yeah, probably.
Yeah.
It's probably more, in line with the depending on the retailer. Like, Nordstrom was fairly affordable because like, typically, you can go to a dry cleaners and get your stuff tailored, and they'll have, like, a price list.
We don't even
Similarly
have them shits no more. That's the crazy thing. There used to be a dry cleaners on the corner, around the corner for me. They
mhm.
replaced it with a fucking one of them. It's not even an official cannabis shop. It's just one of them smoke shop type things. It's like, fam, the only dry cleaners in the neighborhood got replaced by that. But anyway, go ahead.
But that's what I mean, like, having more, places where things can be fixed versus thrown away. Because a lot of people oftentimes have stuff that they don't wear because they don't have it doesn't fit them, like, it's not custom to them, it doesn't, like, look good on their body because they're focused on how it looks on a model, and
Yeah,
so having I think a big solution would be to have, like, um, more, more tailors involved in, like, the process between purchase to, like, from retailer to consumer. Having that person in the middle be like, "Oh, yeah, and we can have this custom," without it being so egregiously unaffordable. And even if you didn't do that, having moments or, like, activations where people could come in and, like, mend their own clothes or learn how to mend their own clothes. Um,
that's what I'm
and
saying. Like those workshops, like each one
yeah,
teach one.
I've taught those kind of workshops before,
Yeah.
and they're always fun. And like sometimes you just have to start small because some people don't even know how to sew on a button. So it's
Yeah.
like I'm teaching you how to sew on a
I
button
used
today.
to. I did. I don't know if I mentioned this on one of my streams. I think I did one of my live streams. In middle school, we had a fashion class, and I tried to make leopard print pants, and I got
Mhm.
annoyed because I wasn't doing it well. So I tried to.
Yeah,
I scrapped it, and then I made a pillowcase because I think that was like the easiest thing to do was make a pillowcase.
yeah,
Um, and I think I gave up because the teacher wasn't really patient with us. It was more just like she was there to just go through the motions and just like get some kids to make something. And I feel like if we had someone like you or another person that really cared, we could start early, with the
yeah,
young kids and be like, hey, don't throw away that old shirt. You can repurpose it, turn it into a bag or a hat or,
yeah.
something like that. And I think that's something that I wish the movie touched on, like we had a really great resolution at the end
Mhm.
of it all. But I feel like if we were still talking about fashion and we still talking about like dismantling the system, then there should have been a something that leaned towards like the next phase of what society would be outside of this original system. And
Yeah.
I think that's the only, like I said, the only gripe I had with it. But I wanted to ask you because it's making me more conscious about, because I never really had a huge wardrobe to begin with, and I don't really like buy clothes like that. I'll repeat the same shit over and over again. I've worn this shirt over and over again, and I'm not afraid to admit that it's from Shein. And I've thought about recently, now that I know like how harmful a lot of the fabrics that come from Shein are, I want to get rid of it, but I don't want to just throw it away because I've seen those videos where it's just
Yeah.
like whole beaches covered in garbage shirts and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Um, what can I do with this shirt instead of just throwing it away? What do you think I could do with this shirt to kind of like keep it relevant? I don't want to wear it anymore, but I want to turn it into something.
Okay. So you want to keep the shirt like in your wardrobe.
No, it's
Or I mean like keep
polyester.
it in your house. I mean, that's what I
Yeah,
meant
like
to
I
say.
don't want to just throw it away and then it just ends up in a landfill and now it's in like, some part of
Yeah.
Africa or the Caribbean and like it's just washed up on a beach. So
Yeah.
like what so don't even just speak to me, speak to the people that are like this too. Like what are some things they can do outside of just like, especially if they don't have the skill to, what are some things they could do with their unwanted clothes?
So for people that don't have like a desire for their clothes, I often say, if you're not like immediately gonna like repurpose it in some way, if you do want to donate, I say donate to local thrift stores, like thrift stores in your area that aren't a Goodwill or a Salvation Army. Um, Usually a women's shelter or a the homeless shelter with like a closet is a great place to like send certain things, but also make sure that those things don't look
Don't have
in.
polyester
I
and they
mean,
not dirty.
if they're not like, make sure they're not dirty, make sure they're in a condition that you would want to wear. Like, if you were a person receiving this, you would still be okay with wearing it like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if it's like stained to high heaven, stuff like that, don't do
Yeah.
that.
Shout outs to
Um,
Installation BK on Nostrum, Margot, the nice stuff that you see me in, y'all see me in like the coat and some of them other shirts. That's Margot, and shout out to them people that the community over there that definitely is diligent about quality over just throwing stuff away.
mhm. 'Cause, like, that's one thing I never really liked about Salvation Army or Goodwill is, like, on top of y'all upcharging for stuff y'all get for free, um, sometimes they're not able to go through the amount of stuff that they get, like, and so you end up with crazy stuff. Like, there's been bodily fluids of all kinds in various different like garments and stuff. I'm sorry to tell you, but it's the worst. It gets real bad. Like if you go to a Goodwill, use gloves when searching for stuff and wash all the things. Um but For like if you want to keep something, repurposing your clothes is always fun. I think finding different ideas of like what you want. Maybe the print is what speaks to you. That's something that you enjoy about this shirt is how colorful it is, what the print is like. You could keep that print and you could frame it. That could be like just like like a small art piece. You could turn that into maybe a tote. You could turn that
I can
into
turn it. I'm gonna send it to you.
please don't.
Like,
I
please
got too
turn
many
this.
projects.
Please turn this into a tote bag. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I got a million projects now. I got a million
Yeah,
one.
you're gonna get a package. I'm like, oh, what's this?
I can't.
It's a new order.
Right. And be like, please, here's $5.
$5. You think you're
Oh,
getting $5? Let me stop.
wow, that's crazy. You never gonna see that shirt again. Be like, where my shirt at? Where's my shirt tote? My house. But also, there was a point in my lifetime where old t-shirts became wash rags, like where you
Yeah.
clean the house with like old t-shirts until it basically disintegrated. There's always a way, and there's always like I think the biggest part of um solutions like this, or like being more conscious and eco-friendly, has to do with like your level of creativity. Because like for me, creativity is just problem solving. And so if you are like, I have a need for this thing. Say I need I need a way to store like my medicine or whatever. I have this shirt. What can this shirt now be? Like it can turn into something else. And like it could be that you've made like a small little shelf hammock, or like you've turned it into a bag, or just anything. Like there are various ways to turn what you have in your house into something else.
You
Like
see
I
how you see how you just came up with them ideas? You can say them same ideas, but in a video, and you can put it on your Instagram, and then you do that again, and you put it on Instagram again, and then you link it to your website where you have like other ideas. Like you see that? You see how we collaborated just now, mutual aid. You gave me an idea, I just gave you an idea, so people can see what you be up to, and we can see what you're doing, so people can support you. You see that, Jasmine? You see that, feisty girl Jazz? You see that?
wow.
Go follow her,
Wow.
feisty girl Jazz, on Instagram. She said she about to post something tonight. She gonna put
Who's
when you
that?
watch this. When you watch this on Wednesday, it's gonna be up that night.
That's
She'll have a full guide for free, no strings attached, on how to upcycle and repurpose your unwanted Shein items, because all y'all got a bunch of Shein polyester clothes in your closet. But Jasmine, this has been a very fun and interesting and lengthy episode.
yeah.
I do appreciate your commentary, especially when it comes to fashion. And I knew like talking about I Love Boosters would be a highlight. And I definitely want to, maybe we can do like a Patreon episode where we talk about the full plot, because they're like the $100,000 suits was a
We
crazy
got it.
plot point. You know what I'm saying? The Don Cheadle character was also another plot point that was very interesting as well. But
When I tell you that, didn't realize that was Don Cheadle.
oh, I knew. I could hear
I
it in
didn't
his
realize who
voice.
that was.
I heard it in his voice. It wasn't. They didn't get me this time, because when Robert Downey was in Tropic Thunder, I was like, "Where Robert Downey at?"
Man,
But I knew that was Don Cheadle.
they got me. My best friend had to tell me that was Don Cheadle. I was like,
That's crazy.
shut
Not you was
up.
looking for Don Cheadle the whole movie.
I
Oh,
didn't realize
did you stay for the after credit
I
scene?
did.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Also, I thought, I'm gonna say it very vaguely. I thought that character was Shorty, but like, you know, if you
Yeah,
picking up what I'm putting down.
I get what you're saying. Yeah,
And I was like, wait a minute. this is gonna be a crazy plot point, but I was wrong. But
I thought she was something else, but yeah.
yeah, but no, this was a great episode. For those who don't follow Jasmine, please follow her on the socials. She does have a YouTube channel as well, which I hope she does activate and post some things on very soon. She has a website, which I'll be linking in the description below, and this won't be the last time we see her. And hopefully by the next time we do see her, you know, she might have a new, you know, a little peace out, you know, y'all can buy and support her, you know what I'm saying, a little some, you know, maybe it'll be this bag, it'll be a bag that look like this. She'll make, how many bags could you make with one shirt? This is a 2X. How many bags you make with this?
I could probably do like maybe two, depending on the size, I could probably do like 2.
Yeah, so y'all buy the other one, and I'm gonna keep the first one. It'll be a 1-to-1. We could be twins. It'd be Is God Is Part 2. What God What? But anyway, do you want to highlight anything? It doesn't have to be you specifically. Anything in Texas that's going on? Any friends that have shows happening within the next like couple of months or couple of weeks? Like anything you want to shout out? Go for it.
So there are a couple of things happening currently in the theater world. There is a show called
When God Win?
No, it's a show called Malcolm X and Red Fox washing dishes in Jimmy's Chicken Shack in Harlem. It's a long title, but it's an original work. It is so funny. Like the title.
Say that one more time.
Hold on. Let me pull it up.
Malcolm X and Red Fox eating chicken. Washing dishes at Jimmy's Chicken Shack.
In Harlem, yes.
In Harlem.
Hold on. No, I got it. I got it this time. Malcolm X and Red Fox washing dishes at Jimmy's Chicken Shack in Harlem. That's it.
Wow. Okay.
It's at Dallas Theater Center. It is until June 7th. It is supposed to be a very wild ride. It goes because Malcolm X and Red Fox were friends, so it kind of touches on their friendship. And it's an original work. So definitely go check that out if you are in Dallas. Also, Theater Arlington is about to put on a production of The Wiz, and one of my friends is the costume designer, so I'm really excited for her and excited to see what she's got coming with that. I do not remember the days for that right now, but those are two of the things that I'm like really excited about coming out of Texas, coming out of Dallas right now. Yeah, just keep if you follow me, just keep your eyes peeled. I do have some things that I will be talking about eventually regarding theater work, regarding wearable art, and all of the other workshops and stuff that I want to do for the future. So
fantastic and phenomenal. You heard it here, folks. Ease on down to Texas to check out those two fantastic and phenomenal plays, Red Fox and Malcolm X and The Wiz. And I think if I had it like that, I'd fly down right now. I'd go see that. I want to see the imitation of Red Fox, because that's a hard one to do. The only person I've seen do Red Fox really well was actually Mr. Miyagi, because they were actually close friends. Nah, I'm gonna send you the clip. Mr. Miyagi and Red Fox used to hang out all the time, and he did an impression. I was like, yo, if you close your eyes, you would have thought it was him. But folks, thank you for watching this episode of the Art Block. I know it's a unorthodox time and upload for it, but I wanted to get this out before, you know, the chicken got cold for Is God Is, because that's been out for 2 weeks now. By the time this goes up. But after this, we'll be back on regularly scheduled programming, episodes on Sunday at 12 p.m. Again, follow Jazz on all the socials, and make sure, you know, you follow me on all the other spaces too. But until next time, stay true, stay you. We out. Deuces.